Hello everyone, welcome to episode 84 of FPL BlackBox. My name is Az and I am joined by Mr. Mighty Mark Southerns, who's a bit late today.
I am.
It's your fault.
Yeah, I was held up at school. Az, can you move my image over slightly? I'm right over one side if you look on there. I'm almost off the...
Well, why has that happened? You weren't a second ago. And the image has gone from the main screen.
And the image has gone. Chaos straight away.
Well, it was all right. It was all right a minute ago. I think you've moved.
Give us time on stream.
You've moved. That's the problem.
Have I?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Well, we'll cut this out of the podcast, of course. But those on stream, bear with us. Technical difficulties. It's been a hectic evening, yes.
Oh,
but we'll talk about that when it has sorted this out. And where's the image gone?
I'm having to sort it out live, aren't I? And move you because I've got to go into the bloody thing. It's your fault.
No, I don't mean my image. I mean the image of the episode.
Hang on.
I said that's better for me. That's better for me.
Happy now. I don't know where that image has gone. Hang on, let me find that. You introduce hello to everyone, and I'll fix that.
Yeah, but we want all that on the podcast, so I don't want to say too much. So I don't want to say it twice, do I? People on the stream, this is what they have to put up to on the stream. It's so unprofessional on stream, and then we make it sound like we're such a slick outfit when we do the podcast because we edit all that stuff out.
It's a good one. It's a good one with thumbnail as well, so it's got to go in.
Yeah, so get the thumbnail.
My only worry is if that one's gone, has everything gone?
Oh, quick, go to a next screen just in case. Have a look at a random screen.
Let's have a look at my game.
So professional, isn't it?
We're all good.
Right. Okay.
There you go. Right.
I don't mind if the one with my team's not working. That's fine.
Hello.
Right. Start again.
We're done.
Start again.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 84 of FPL BlackBox. My name is Az, and I'm joined by the mighty Mr. Mark Southerns. How are you, Mark?
The mighty. I'm not mighty in any shape or form. Yeah, it's been a bit hectic. Billy's got to the age where he's going to big school, as we call it, and so I'm touring the local schools, which sounds a bit suspect, doesn't it? I'm going to schools that Billy could go to, although given that he's already beaten me by 37 points and has yet to change his team for the last 5 game weeks, I'm not sure I want to extend his education any further. I think I'll leave it there, really, to be quite frank.
Do you know what? I think 37 points is probably all right for you. I thought it would be more than that.
Yeah, but I just want to stress, he hasn't changed his team for 4 weeks. And obviously he's had his captaincy on Haaland all that time.
Oh, so, yeah.
There you go.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well, that is... you can't lose to him 2 years in a row, can you? That's...
No. But I was basically looking at... I'm looking at secondary school. So tonight I was touring a school and we just got back and I just woofed down dinner. But here I am for the episode and... hopefully all is going to be good from now on.
Essentially, I feel like the wife at home with dinner on the table waiting for you, and you're just sending me these really cryptic messages like, what did you say to me? You were like, I'm late, don't know when I'll be back.
Won't make it. We'll be a bit late. Yeah, don't know what time.
Cheers, Mark.
That's exactly what an estranged wife would get via text, isn't it? Basically, yeah.
And then you get back and I've burnt the dinner and got all the screens wrong, so it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, just
before what have we got tonight?
Well, just before we get into it, I just want to mention the thing on the top right of the screen, which is the Football Content Awards. This is the final chance for people to vote for us if they want to. I've made it even easier for you to vote for us. You can either go on to footballcontentawards.com/voting and vote for FPL BlackBox if you like us. Of course, you don't have to. Just if you're there and you're listening to us, you might quite like us. Or there's a link in the description, and if you click it, it will basically create a tweet which you can post, and then that counts as a vote as well. Creates the tweet
genius.
for you, Mark.
You really care about this. And you know what? After the slick start to the show, who wouldn't be voting for us?
Slick start to the show, and one of us ranked 5.5 million.
Yeah, I mean, we are obviously deserving winners should we win it, aren't we, basically? But anyway, yeah, nice plug, Az. Nice plug.
Thank you.
Yes, so what are we looking at over the course of the show? We've got mid-price midfielders, haven't we, to look at again, because they're all turning up all of a sudden, just like we thought they would. And you know what? I'm actually questioning whether you need 2 heavy hitters now, because obviously captaincy, we won't dwell on that too much because there's an obvious place where that's going. But I've got De Bruyne and I'm thinking, maybe I can do without De Bruyne soon and get some of these mid-price mids in because there's a real cast that we're looking at tonight. And your boy Trossard turned up, didn't he?
He did. I know. I mean, three 8 million midfielders with double-digit hauls. And then you've got like Diaz and Saka as well, who are, kind of ticking over. And then you've got Trossard, who's... You mentioned last week that he was someone who you thought could become an 8-9 million mid. Well, if he carries on with the rate he's going this season, he could be by the end of this season, I think. He was absolutely outstanding. And yeah, we'll be talking about Brighton quite a lot because...
Oh, not again. What have I done?
Because it went exactly how I thought it would go, to the absolute score. So if I'm going to be smug. I'm going to be smug.
I want to. We'll get to the predictions later, but I want an inquest into that. I don't know what's going on there. Some kind of Doctor Whoism. I don't know. You got your TARDIS in the garden or something.
And my Foden.
I don't know how you managed to call that. Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know. It's just crazy. Also, we're looking at Mitrovic replacements, aren't we? Yep. Because he's got an ankle knock. Don't know how long he's going to be out yet. Obviously, we're shooting this before shooting this. Makes it sound very dramatic, doesn't it? We are recording this. We're shooting this. We're on set before the team news. Before Neil comes out of the best team news in the world, which apparently is what Scout's calling it. Which it's fair enough.
Clickbait, but yes. Clickbait.
Yeah, clickbait, of course. Very good team news from Neil and Fancy Football Scout, and he'll be talking about whether Mitrovic is going to be missing this week or not. But, we've got to look at replacements, I guess. But the data's quite interesting on that, isn't it? There's some contenders, but I'm less inclined to look at alternative forwards than I am alternative midfielders, let's put it that way.
He's always late as well. Neil, he's a diva like you are. He's
a busy man.
All the geniuses are divas these days.
Absolutely.
Right, we've got loads to talk about. Let's get into it. Before we do, a word from our sponsor for this episode, which is, of course, NordVPN. NordVPN, I mean, I'm still using it. I think it's great. You're still watching your Colombo series, as we mention every week.
Yes.
Yep.
Every week.
If you don't know what a VPN is, basically it's a great way to protect yourself online. It's also a great way to access other countries' sort of domains and TV shows and Netflixes, which is exactly what Mark is doing. You can check out like the Japanese Netflix, USA, other countries, 59 countries that you can sort of tap into. The big boost about it is people watch what you do online, or can watch what you do online, particularly if you're using like public Wi-Fi. So use a VPN, protect yourself, and stop everyone kind of monitoring and spying on all your password entries and all that kind of stuff. With NordVPN, you've got threat protection, protects you from malicious websites, ads, malware, and trackers. Ads are really stressing me out. You know when you send a message on someone on WhatsApp, and then all of like your ads are about a certain thing.
Oh yeah,
something like that. Well, it would block that as well.
Yeah. Well, that message about anal beads went badly for you, then, didn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Whenever we do a show like this and we talk about that, some of the ads I get are absolutely terrible. You get a 30-day money-back guarantee. The exclusive deal using our code, which is nordvpn.com/scout, 4 months free with a 2-year plan. It's the leading VPN service. It just is the best one. So if you care about your internet security, do give it a try. 3 packages, standard, plus, and complete, starting as little as £2.40 a month. There you go.
Very good job, Ass. Who doesn't care about internet security? I wouldn't want my team hacked, although 5.5 million in the world. It might be a small mercy if it was, maybe, but
Yeah, maybe it has. Maybe that's exactly what's
people probably think that, but unlike SWAT from last season, I haven't got that excuse. And probably unlike SWAT, I'm not going to recover either, but we'll see. We'll see. Well, let's start with your game week. 69 points. Lucky number for some, but not for you, Mark. No, it looked all right when Bowen got his haul. And I tried to do the match of the day challenge with the West Ham game. But you managed to text me that Bowen had got me 14 points before I'd managed to watch the game back. So thanks for that, Az, ruining that little experiment that I had ready to go. But I was obviously pleased with the Bowen return. I needed it. And so I went into Monday night or Sunday rather, thinking everything was going to be all right. I was well placed after Saturday. But yeah, disastrous. I went against Haaland for the captaincy, got punished. 2 decisions, right? The team looks all right on paper. Just for the podcast, it's Raya in goal, got the clean sheet. Trent, 0. Perisic, 1. James, 2. Zaha, 2. De Bruyne, captain, 16. Bowen, 14. Martinelli, 4. Mitrovic, 0 points, got the booking and the injury. Haaland, 23, of course, and Tony, 1. 69 points. Two decisions I made was playing Perisic over Trippier.
Yep.
And going De Bruyne, captain over Haaland. Both made Saturday morning, deliberating, obviously. My thinking on Perisic and Trippier was they're both going to concede anyway, which was correct. And so I went with the player that I considered to have the greater attacking threat, and I do consider Perisic to be a more of an attacking threat than Trippier, regardless of who they're playing, because Perisic is a wing-back, Trippier is not. Perisic is a more natural attacking player than Trippier. They both, Okay, Trippier's got free kicks, but Perisic's got corners and set pieces. So I went for Perisic. He got a point. Trippier could have got a point, but of course he got subbed off just before they conceded. Trippier owners got the luck. It went against me, 6 points. All right, damage done. Then the next day I went De Bruyne over Haaland because I got the captaincy right last week with Kane over Haaland, and I got a bit cocky and thought, you know what? De Bruyne has outscored Haaland twice already this season in matches he's played. I think it was Bournemouth and Wolves. Why couldn't he do it again? It could be a tight game. I predicted 2-1 City, thought it would be tight, and in that scenario I thought De Bruyne could outscore Haaland. If you'd have told me City are going to score 6 goals, there's no way I'd have done it. But I just didn't expect 6 goals against United. I just didn't expect what I saw, and the minute the goals started going in, I knew I'd made a mistake. And yeah, got punished. Yeah, there you go. 2 decisions, both wrong, bad outcomes, whatever you want to call it. But with those points, I would have had 91, which would have been a lot better, right? So,
do you want my feedback?
Your take? Yeah, give me your feedback. Make it ruthless and hard hitting. I can take it.
Well, Perisic over Trippier was a 50-50 call, right? I will come on to my team in a sec. I don't think there was a lot in it, especially when you had Mitrovic and you had the kind of you had the clashes on both sides anyway, so it wasn't like you could go for the ceiling, the high ceiling one. Trippier's just a bit of a. I mean, I can't remember too many defenders who a team scores. How many did Newcastle get? 3, 4, and for him to still get.
He still got 2 bonus.
Get 2 bonus. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I can also never remember a manager taking 3 defenders off in one go and then them conceding. A few minutes
First time
later.
He's been subbed this season. Never been subbed so far until
unbelievable.
That match. I can see why they were 4-1 up, right? Or 4-0 up.
I was in the car with a friend of mine. He had double Newcastle defence, Cher and Trippier, and they conceded. And we were both kind of swearing. And I looked back and I was like, he's taken them both off 2 minutes before.
Oh my God!
Yeah, crazy. So that one I get. De Bruyne over Haaland. I mean, I was listening to you on the Scout members video with Andy. I just can't understand that. I get your point about it being tough. If it was players from a different team, like if you'd gone for, I don't know, a Bowen or a Maddison or someone, and just thought, okay, that game's going to be tight, so I'm going to go for a game which has got more goals in. But if City win 1-0 and it's still a tight game, you'd still expect that goal to be Haaland.
Yeah, but my theory is that De Bruyne and Haaland are, when he set up 2 of his goals, let's not forget that, right? So he got a hat-trick, but 2 of them were set up by De Bruyne. So there was only 1 goal he scored where De Bruyne didn't also get a return. So you can say in a 1-0 Haaland would score, but there's a chance that De Bruyne gets the assist. Of all the City players, De Bruyne has got, it seems, the best link with Haaland, perhaps predictably. So I would argue that even in a 1-0, there's a chance De Bruyne would get something. I did say last episode that I wouldn't captain anyone but Haaland, and if I personally was going to bet against him, it would be with De Bruyne. I did say that last week. So I didn't give bad advice because hopefully everyone captained Haaland who listened to BlackBox, right? Because we said, didn't we? We looked at Salah, we looked at everybody else, and we said Haaland. And then I did set it up and say, well, if I was going to go against it, I'd go De Bruyne. And it's just me chasing it, right? So I'm not, it's funny on Twitter, right? People on Twitter want you to say, I was wrong and you're right. That's what they want you to say, right? And I'm quite happy to say that was a wrong call and I was wrong. Right? But sometimes the relentless quest for people to make you say it is quite difficult to take. Like you get so many people coming to go, why did you do that? What were you thinking there? Can you explain that? And it's like, what you want me to say is I've got no effing idea what I'm doing and it was a mistake. Right? Does that make you happy? Will that make you leave me alone? So it's a little bit like that. Like I know it's a mistake, but it was made, because I'm 5.5 million in the world, and I'm chasing and I'm trying too hard and I'm stretching and I am pushing and I shouldn't push. Totally get it, but I'm human, and that is what managers do at 5.5 million in the world. They take more risks than you would do if you were 500k in the world. I apologise, but that's FBL. That's what happens, and even experienced managers like me make mistakes like that where it's human nature. You're going to go, I need to push. I'm going to do that. It's a mistake, and I say I was wrong. Quite happy to say it, but I do sometimes wonder why people who go after me for things like that don't see what I've done. Of course they can see what I'm doing, and of course they know it's a mistake. I don't need it pointed out to me. I kind of know after 16 years playing the game.
I guess
right?
the argument is that you're not playing your natural game to
well, you don't
maximize. Yeah, but I've been.
It's hard to.
I've been
It's
not.
hard to.
I mean, I haven't been where you are because you're really low down.
Yeah.
But I've struggled a lot more than you have over the years because you are a better FPL manager than me historically, and I've been down in the 800, 900,
Not
1 million
since we've
marks.
done this show, have I? Really? But yeah.
I mean, I learned after 3 or 4 seasons that doing things like what you're doing makes it worse, and it does. I mean, I've managed to claw my way up to 1.2 million by playing relatively sensibly, bringing in Maddison ahead of good fixtures, bringing in, go captaining Haaland, not worrying too much about rotation, just doing quite simple things. And I'm not flying. I'm not going to try and lecture you at all. But I think that's the problem people have, is they see you doing things purely to be different and not doing what you would normally do. Like if your rank was 100,000, you'd be playing.
There's no way I'd have done it.
No, I guess that's the difficult thing.
So what I'm saying is, right, just when someone's made a mistake, why do people go after them relentlessly to make them admit it was a mistake? It's like, just leave it alone. They know, don't they? They know. I knew when Haaland got. I mean, to be fair as well, I saw the gap between De Bruyne and Haaland at maybe one return. I thought, right, because I thought 2-1 to City. If De Bruyne beats Haaland, it's by 1 return. If Haaland beats De Bruyne, it's by 1 return. It wasn't. It was by 5 returns to 2. So let's not forget Haaland got a hat-trick and 2 assists, which it's extreme. It is, even for Haaland, it's extreme. He might not do that again this season. It seems weird to say that because he could do it again, but in most players' cases, you would say they're never going to do that again this season, but he could, right? But I was punished hard, pretty hard, and when you look at the Trippier decision as well, that was unlucky because he got subbed off, so I could have got away with that one. And the Haaland one was punished in quite extreme. Like, I expected, I mean, maybe I should have thought Haaland's going to beat De Bruyne, but by 5 returns to 2, that was a big margin. So, but what I'm saying is, on Twitter, people don't need people going after them, going, it's almost like, we want you to admit it, we want you to admit it, we want you to explain, and it's like, just leave people alone. Like they're probably like licking their wounds because, like, I was like, oh, shouldn't have done that. I know why I've done it. I was pushing, shouldn't have done it. I don't need to go on social media and justify it. So don't come after people. Don't go on a witch hunt until they're saying that. In the end, I did because I thought, well, but I'm going to have to explain it, aren't I? And admit a mistake. But yeah, it's fair enough, though. Yeah, I'm 5 million in the world. I'm going to push harder than I would if I wasn't ranked there. And I'm not going to play my natural game because I've never been 5 million in the world in game week 9. So I'm doing things I wouldn't normally do. Am I going to stop? I'm going to try, right? But I'm not going to sit here now and go, I'm not going to make another mistake all season. I probably will. Of course I will.
No, I mean, I completely get your point. I mean, it's a merciless place on Twitter. And I had a decent week and I avoided it because some quite smug people out there posting big scores and ranks and all that kind of stuff. And I can just kind of do without all that. I try not to. I mean, I might do that occasionally, but I try not to do it because it's, especially when you've had a bad week or someone's had a bad week, then it's difficult. Yeah, I mean, I guess people are just trying to understand the way you're playing, right, and just trying to understand kind of. I don't think. I mean, there are people out there who are being like nasty because there always are, but some of the comments and things I see are people just trying to work out why you are doing decisions, and they're asking those questions before the results. I get that as well. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I get it. It's just when it comes after the results, it's like, come on.
Oh, well,
it's like, of course. Yeah. I mean, like if they. I mean, I didn't post my things. I was out again, but it's like, yeah, I get it, and I think, but you only got to look at my rank to see why I'm doing things differently. It's very hard to play your normal game when things have gone against you or you've made some mistakes and then you end up chasing those mistakes and you make more mistakes, of course. I still think some of the things I've done weren't mistakes. I still say going Son over Salah game week 1 was just bad luck. I don't think that was a massive mistake. In terms of EO, it was, because I didn't go with effective ownership. I went against it, not consciously. I did think Son could outscore Salah. And, game for game now, there's not much in it. But it didn't happen game week 1. Salah got the returns and Son didn't. Then after that, I started chasing, I guess. And I've just had one bad outcome after another. And now I'm making errors chasing it. I know why. And in a way, this show is about that. This show is about if you make a mistake and you fail, that's fine. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just get better, right? Learn from it and get better. And I will, right? So there you go. I'm a one-man endorsement for Black Box Theory in that respect.
There you go. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And come back as a strong man. That was the whole idea of setting this thing up, which was when I had a terrible season and then we came back. I mean, just to put Haaland into perspective, though, I mean, he's had 3 hat tricks now. He's the fastest player by about 36 games. I think Michael Owen was next to get the 3 hat-tricks. He's 5 goals away from the Golden Boot last year. He needs 5 more goals in 30 appearances.
Oh my God. Really? You need to pause and just consider that.
Son won it last year, didn't he?
That is crazy, isn't it? That is absolutely crazy. What do you think he's going to do? Do you think he's going to do 40 Premier League goals?
Yeah. I just can't see him slowing down. He will slow down a bit, but he's not going to slow down enough. At the moment, if he carries on his scoring rate, he'll get 66. He's not going to get 66 goals, but he'll get 40. I just can't see any way he won't get 40.
I tell you what's interesting as well. He stayed on. He got the 90 minutes. I couldn't believe it. De Bruyne went off after 70. This is the other thing that when I go against Haaland, I was thinking at the start of the season, if you go against Haaland, at least Haaland's going to go off after 65, 75 minutes. He's not though, is he? He's staying on. Pep's leaving him on, even when he's got a Champions League game next. And that's what I don't understand. I just didn't see that coming at all. And that's another thing that's going to feed into his total goal tally, is that he's not getting rested in any way in games. He's getting his rest in the game because he's not getting involved in the build-up, I guess.
It's crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. Yep. Let's talk about my team. I'm sure you want to see it. I'm sure you want to see this.
Let's skirt around this, shall we? Yeah. No, you did well, didn't you? You did well.
Yeah, good week. I went for Ward. I went for Henderson over Ward, despite saying I showed Ward on the team last week, and then a certain Nottingham Forest fan taught me into playing Henderson. I blame him. I blame him entirely. Yeah, I
mentioned Forest.
I thought they both. Like we kind of discussed though. In the end, I kind of thought they probably will both concede, and I'll go for the one with the slightly bigger ceiling. But in the end, 7 points, it's a lot, But that's the only thing I'll complain about. The rest of the team was good. I played Trippier with 7, Trent and James. And then I had Foden with 19. A hat-trick. I was talk about not expecting anything from Haaland in that game, or a massive score from Haaland. I was not expecting a Phil Foden hat-trick at the Etihad. And the story is, I went to the pub and I was running a bit late, and I sent a message and said, I'll miss Foden's first goal, but I'll be there for the brace. And I
can't believe you called it.
I missed his first goal and then got there and then he scored 2. Incredible. Maddison with 18. He's looking for a spot on my wall now, which would be amazing because, as everyone knows, he's my favourite player. He just is brilliant, isn't he? He's just playing absolutely phenomenally, massively overperforming on his XG. But my God, he's without him, that Leicester team would be in big trouble. So
totally. That's what I was going to say. He is basically doing what Gerrard did for Liverpool when they had bad games, when they weren't playing well. He's dragging them through games, right? And they did play well against Forest, but he is so dominant now in that team, whereas before he was sharing the limelight with Tielemans and Vardy, to a certain extent Barnes. Now he's levels above them, isn't he? They've come down a level and he's gone up.
He's just got to go to Qatar. He just has to be on the plane. We are crying, we're desperate for that creativity in the middle of the park. And if Southgate doesn't take him, then I just despair, and he probably won't, because Jordan Henderson will probably go anyway.
It's like the Trent Trippier argument, right? Don't get that either, but there you go.
What do I? Marcelli with 4, Pascal Gross with 2. It's a bit disappointing. I did get that Brighton prediction right. I knew there'd be goals in it. Gross's stats were awful, but I watched the highlights. He was actually still playing advanced. He was lurking in kind of dangerous areas. The ball just wasn't really falling to him, and it was just the Trossard show. But a bit disappointing when you play Gross and don't get anything, and then another player in the team gets everything. But yeah, amazing game, amazing first match for De Zerbi, and yeah, hopefully we can build on that and continue. And then Haaland with the captaincy 46, Kane with 6, and then Mitrovic with a 0. But my biggest problem was on my bench, which was Diaz 0, and I don't know what to do with him. So we'll have to talk about that.
Play tonight as well. Play tonight.
Yeah,
probably going to be out for Southampton then, isn't he?
Five centre backs they've got there, so he is a problem. So I probably will need to address that. But yeah, 105 points, 1.6 million rank increase. Let's move, or whatever the kids say.
Something like that.
Whatever it is.
No, you're doing very well. And I think, what you posted on Twitter about, you can captain Haaland and still make up ground, and you absolutely can. But this is a week where Foden got a hat trick, and Maddison got a brace, right? So it's not every week we get that, right? So there will be weeks where you captain Haaland and then you struggle to make up ground because we're not getting 4 hat tricks in a game week, which is what we got this week. So it was judging how to play the season based on the weekend we just saw. I'm not having it. I think let's have a few average game weeks and then make a call on whether the Haaland captaincy makes things dull, because I think it does a little bit.
I mean, if you captain Haaland and played Trippier though, you'd be on a big green.
I'll be on 91.
Yeah.
Decent green. Yeah. But I'll be on a decent green because some people captain Salah. Is that going to happen ever again? This is what I mean. Like, this is a game week where some of the player base, including some of the best players, went with Salah. So that's why by captaining Haaland and getting one of the players that got a hat trick, you made up ground. Now next week, are those people who captain Salah this week going to go against Haaland? Probably not. Are they going to go Haaland again against Haaland ever again? Probably not. So, like I say, you will make up ground in a game week where Salah's a factor, but how often is Salah going to be a factor for the captaincy now? He will be again, but don't know when. Game week 12.
Yeah, I mean, 4 players in the great and the good went against Haaland. That was yourself. Magnus, also with De Bruyne captain. Slippers went for Salah. And Praz, a very rare misstep for Praz. Everyone else went for Haaland. Some big moves around though. For a lot of people, like quite a few of us in the 100 club, in the great and the good. FPL Matthew, Finn. I mean, Finn Salih. If he carries on with the rate he's going, he's going to overtake Fabio in the Hall of Fame, because he's
fewer seasons but more consistent with his finishes.
Unbelievable. What Gray had done for us is look at our immediate transfer successes, and at bottom of the pile of that is Slippers -9. If he needs to stop making transfers.
And to think 20,000 people tune in for his deadline stream to get that advice. Anyway, I shouldn't knock Andy. He's had a bad week, so sorry, Andy.
Zofar as well, only 7. Surprising from him, because he is like the kind of wise uncle of FPL. I see him as, and that's low. Yourself with 25. Not to brag, 74 for me. I mean, does that just? Does that just basically show how crap my earlier team was, though? That's the main thing.
Maybe. And can I just say, Greyhead, if you're listening, I did ask you to pick out a new stat every week. What I didn't tell you is, if Az is top of that stat, try and find another stat. Okay? Can you just get that clear, Greyhead?
How am I top of captains and immediate transfer success out of the whole great and good league, and yet I'm third from bottom? So depressing.
It's a mystery that I have no intention of investigating, to be honest.
No.
So, but I mean, it's interesting. I think we did the what if chest on your team early, and you were top of that then, weren't you? So it's carrying on. So effectively, your game week 1 team was awful.
Yeah,
is basically it.
Yeah,
can we just go with that? Is that all right?
I think let's go with that. I think that's perfectly well summarised. Let's take a look at the ticker between now and game week 16. So when you're planning your transfers, who the kind of teams you want to be targeting, Palace right at the top. Finally done with all their awful fixtures. It's a sea of blue now. Leeds, Leicester, Wolves, Everton, Southampton, West Ham, Forest. That's a great run, isn't it?
It's a brilliant run. I look at all those teams and think Palace can score against them. Basically, probably West Ham away is probably the hardest game there in terms of their ability to score, I would say. So they're a funny side, Palace. They're hard to predict. They've got some players that mean they could win games 4-0. They're really good attacking players, but they probably won't. They'll probably win these. If they're going to win, they'll probably win by the odd goal, and it'll be 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. But they've got potential in these fixtures to get big scores, right? So we'll see. Yep.
Everton, a third, playing well, doing well. A lot of people kind of had written them off, but they've made some smart signings, Tarkowski and Cody. He was described, I believe, as Garth Crooks as having the instinct of a elite finisher or something. Connor Cody.
Cody.
Yeah.
Oh,
interesting.
Well, Garth Crooks, as we know, is one of the best pundits in the land, right?
Absolutely. So, yeah, really, really rate him. But it's a good run of fixtures again for Everton. You've got United and Spurs, but then it's Newcastle, Palace, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth. I do wonder if Everton defenders could come onto our radar a bit. Pickford, for example, in goal. We talk about him. One of the centre-backs. They've got Mopé up top, who might present an interesting kind of differential for all of my reservations about him. But yeah, interesting to see Everton kind of having good start. I think they've conceded the least goals in the league this year, Everton as well. So, I mean, that is not something I'd associate with a Frank Lampard setup and team, but it's clearly something is working. Down the other end, though, some interesting teams. I mean, Liverpool, City and Arsenal, all in the bottom four. City and Arsenal have got that blank, which kind of does skew it a bit. I mean, City comes straight out of that blank with Brighton at home, Leicester and Fulham, and then Brentford. I mean, it's 3 home games in 4 for them. So I would advise people not to be selling their City attackers, I think. Defenders, okay, with Liverpool, then a blank, but I'll be keeping Foden and Haaland for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's different for me because I've got De Bruyne, and I think that I probably will move De Bruyne out for Son in game week 11 to get, to get Son at home to Everton, because I think that's a good fixture to have Son for. And with the idea that De Bruyne probably doesn't come back, and I move to some of the mid-price midfielders that we're going to look at later on. But if I had Foden, I probably would consider carrying him through and benching him, game week 12, I guess. Depending on how many Arsenal and City players you've got, of course, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I mean Arsenal as well. I mean they've got Leeds in 11, and then a blank, but then it's Southampton and Forest, so it's a good 2 fixtures for them. So I kind of feel like if you wildcarded last week, you probably ditched them all, but now you're getting to a point in which you might want to keep some of these guys, and we'll talk about a bit more about some of the assets going forward. Any other teams you want to mention here, or should we move on?
Well, just that Forest are only one of 2 teams with 2 red fixtures. They've got Liverpool and Arsenal, and the form Forest are in. It's horrible, isn't it? We've got to get points in the next 2 or 3 games, otherwise we're going to be threatening to be adrift. And that, I don't blame you drinking when Forest was mentioned. To be honest, I need a drink.
Non-alcoholic tonight.
Well, I need alcoholic drinks when I'm talking about Forest at the moment. Yeah, Cooper survived. I did say last week, didn't I?
You did.
Someone put a clip of it up. I said that Cooper will be fine. The only scenario where Cooper could be in trouble is if we lost 4-0 and nothing changed.
Yeah.
That's more or less what happened, wasn't it?
I mean, it looked like a team of players who have never played together before playing football, and that is kind of what we expected. But trying to gel that many players, it's all everyone talks about, but they just didn't look like a team, did they? They've got some Brennan Johnson did a great run through the middle.
He looks good. He looked good in the game.
Yeah, he did. I mean, Leicester were lucky to keep a clean sheet. Really, I mean, there was 2 good chances for Forest in that match, but generally speaking, Leicester were very comfortable. Played really well. I mean, Forest aren't going to get any points if they play like that.
No points at all.
Not if they play like that.
Ever.
Not if they play like that.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Az. Put it this way, I'm not going to the Brighton Forest game. I'm pretty pleased I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't want to be sitting with you, your mum, your dad, your girlfriend, watching my team lose to your team. That would be, on top of being 5.5 million in the world, that'd be humiliation going a little bit too far, perhaps, I think. So I'm pretty glad I'm not going now.
Yeah. Will Cooper be in charge then? I mean, it's a real battle for you this week against Villa, who are also awful. I might add. I watched that Leeds Villa game in the pub. I didn't think a game could be worse than Villa Southampton, and I think that Leeds game was close. Because there was nothing, no quality.
Much as I love Adam Hopcroft, I've got to say Gerrard has turned Villa into a horrible team to watch. They're a horrible team to watch, and I feel for Adam because I'm sure he doesn't want his team to be like that, or nor do any Villa fans. And it's a shame because I like Villa. I like Villa more under Dean Smith, despite the dispute. Despite the emails and the DMs that he used to send me. I preferred Villa under Dean Smith. I thought they were better. Obviously, they had Grealish then, but I just think under Gerrard, they're so dull, pragmatic, a little bit nasty. I don't know. They're not a nice team to watch. And so, that's going to be an interesting game, the Forest Villa game. Yeah.
He's just sucked all the creativity and fun out of the team, and they've got fun, creative players. They've got Buendia and Coutinho in there, and and Watkins and Ings and Bailey. I mean, these are exciting players to watch on their day, and there's nothing. And that game was just so bad-tempered and bitty, and I couldn't stand it. So,
and Jesse Marsh was only blaming one thing for that, and that was Villa, wasn't it? So,
I mean, Leeds were worse than Villa in that game, though. They were just well,
they've got history. These 2 teams got history, right? So,
I felt that Leeds' game plan was just to kick lumps out of Villa in that match, and then Villa just kind of got down to the same level as them. That's my take on it. Anyway, let's have a look at some data. Team data attack. We've got Man City at the top, 2.19. Oh my God, XG non-penalty per 90 of 2.19. Crazy high. Next is Arsenal, 1.97. Next is Liverpool, 1.88. And then it's Newcastle. They've climbed up, thanks to the red card probably from Fulham, 1.72. And then it drops down to Spurs in 1.56. Now, I'm surprised Spurs are in 5th. Because did you know they've had their 19th in the league for progressive passes into the final third?
Okay. So that's not stopping them creating chances, obviously.
No, it's interesting though. They're obviously creating good chances, but not a regular amount of chances. I mean, big chance per 90 of 2.13
it's all right.
Is all right. A chance per 90 of 14.38 is okay, but I was interested by that stat. They just seem to be reluctant to get the ball forward at times, and Kane is doing his dropping deep thing and spraying passes around. Son, we thought was back and didn't really look on it against Arsenal, subbed again. Kulusevski's out. I think he makes a massive difference to the balance of that side. Perisic, Royale was awful. Again, I don't know. I don't know about.
They're crying out for Jed Spence. That's what it is. But they're not going to play him.
No.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, against Forest. Tottenham, Liverpool, Arsenal, City are in the top 5. They're probably where we'd expect them to be, around the top 5 or 6, right? Those teams. Newcastle surprising 4th, although they've kicked on from last season under Howe. Leeds 6th is probably the biggest surprise because I thought they would struggle. 1.44 XG non-penalty per 90. And then Brighton, I mean, their attacking stats are a lot higher than we'd expect, and we think that's going to get better, right, under your new manager. Yeah, I mean, no surprise here, really, until you get down to West Ham, who we'd expect a load more from, as we've said. I think they will get better. I said this last week, and Bowen might spark now. He's got his goal, and, obviously that goal he scored was one of a confident player, that type of goal he scored. So I think the West Ham could and should improve from that. Other than that, Chelsea in 11th is probably the other big surprise. 1.17 XG non-penalty per 90. That's low. It's low for a side that we would consider nailed on for a top 6 finish.
Yeah, I think the biggest team that surprises me here, other than West Ham, is probably Fulham, down in 19th, because it doesn't really look like Silva's changed the style of how they were in the Championship too much. Mitrovic has obviously been the focal point, and they've looked quite good in a lot of games, but they are struggling to create chances still, and they're relying on him to convert when he does. I mean, if he is out for a prolonged period of time, we've got no idea at the moment, at the time of recording, or shooting as you like to call it, what the extent of that injury is. But if it's going to be 3 or 4 weeks, you got to think Fulham are going to really suffer in that time. Absolutely huge,
massive. There's so little to choose between the teams. Like when you look at 12th down to 20th, low, not much in other than the Bournemouth stat.
The Bournemouth are so far adrift. If you're looking at stats and which defenders to start against teams, I mean it's Ward this week again against Bournemouth, for example, and Bournemouth with an XG non-penalty per 90 of 0.46 is half of what Fulham's is in 90.
But look at that, only 6 chances a match.
Yeah,
like so Man City are having 3. Well, Liverpool are having 3 times the volume of shots that Bournemouth are having. I mean, we expected them not to be an attacking team. I did anyway, but not cut adrift as much as they are. So, I mean, they're a team to target, aren't they, in terms of looking for clean sheets? Yeah.
And are they a team to target with Solanke? That's people are still going on about Dominic Solanke. We tried to put that to death last week, didn't we? But he's still lurking around. Not one that I'm looking at. Let's take a look at defence. Man City, top of this as well. I mean, tells you all you need, doesn't it? best attack, best defence by a considerable margin. 0.61 expected goal, non-penalty per 90. I mean, they are switching around their centre backs. They did concede a couple of goals United, but the game was kind of already over by that point. Sometimes, it's been like this a few times with Pep. I do feel like sometimes if you get at them, you can just you only need a couple of chances against them to create or to score. They keep a lot of clean sheets, but teams like Southampton, for example, do often find a way to kind of find a goal against them. Palace scored 2. They haven't kept too many clean sheets this season, but the underlying stats are still good.
Yeah, still strong.
Still strong. Then it's Arsenal. Then it's West Ham in 3rd. The fixtures are good. The defence, the data's good. The likes of Zuma, Creswell. I mean, I've got bloody what's his name? Who's not playing? He'd be perfect. Emerson, yeah, he'd be perfect. But
I mean, you can't even remember his name. How do you expect him to get you any points? You've got to be more of a man manager than this, right?
Well, I'm trying the Conte approach of saying, I'm not going to play him. I don't want to lose. Like Conte did with Doherty, which I thought was a bit
clever. Is it?
Yeah,
no,
not too sure
probably
about that. No. Newcastle in 4th, though, and then Liverpool surprisingly in 5th. I mean, given that every game I see of Liverpool, it looks like they're going to concede to be 5th on this list.
2.43 big chances per game.
Yeah.
So, like in terms of Opta's classification of what a big chance is, they're conceding a lot. But it's the same as Chelsea as well. Forest 2.5, only just were a little bit worse than Liverpool and Chelsea for that stat. So it's surprising, isn't it, with those two defences that they've given up as many big chances as they have. But yeah, that's what we've seen with our eyes, right? We've seen them give up chances.
Yep. In 6th is Wolves. We haven't mentioned yet, but obviously Bruno Lage has been binned off. They've got awful attacking stats, decent defensive stats, which is kind of carried on from last season, really, except for the beginning of last season, they were picking up some points. That kind of went off the grid towards the end of last season. That's carried on this season, and he's been given his marching orders. I don't think many Wolves fans are going to be too upset about. They spent a lot of money. They just can't create chances, and they look like they've got problems. I mean, who's going to come in for Wolves? Do you reckon?
I don't know who the names are. I presume he's going to be Portuguese, but I don't know. No, I don't know. But he's going to have to speak Portuguese. Let's face it. But yeah, it's difficult. It's going to be a foreign manager, I imagine. They're not going to go for Sean Dyche or someone like that, are they? So. Yeah, I mean, is he going to transform them? Well, with the options they got up front, I don't know. Costa's their only fit striker, and is he going to be able to produce it? Going to Chelsea this week, that's going to be interesting. Is Costa going to start? So we'll have to see.
But there's only one manager who is kind of even being linked with them, and that's Lopetegui, the former Spain and Real Madrid manager. He's 1-5, so he's like massively odds-on favourite.
Right.
Villa Boas is being linked as well, but he's right down in 16-1. So the bookies are pretty confident that Lopetegui is going to come in.
Well, we'll have to look at him if that happens, right?
I'll do my full Zerbi analysis on him.
Well, you better do, because after doing that, everyone would accuse you of being biased otherwise.
He's the one that was about to take Spain into a tournament, wasn't he? And then he got the Real Madrid job and he got sacked.
Yes, I think that's the case, yes. Yeah. Interesting character. And like I say, when Big Sam takes over at Forest, you better do the homework.
Looking forward. I honestly, when I'm going to bore you senseless.
I'm joking, but I really hope I'm joking. There's no way we'd get... No. I don't... No.
Who was it you were linked with? There was someone...
Rafa Benitez.
Rafa Benitez, that's it. Oh, God.
I don't mind Rafa. What? When did Rafa become a bad man? He's probably he passed his best, but anyway, what am I saying? I want Steve to stay, of course. Right?
Okay, Mark's saying he wants Benitez in. That's
no, I don't.
No. Other end of this list, I mean, we've got Fulham right at the bottom, which is again quite telling. Team to target, I think, for teams playing them. I think we kind of had that at the start of the season, but then we saw some quite good performances from them, and they kind of went away from that whipping boy status. But I think you've got to be pretty confident if your attacker's playing Fulham with these stats. Expected goal conceded on penalty of 1.9, which is again is quite a lot worse than in Crystal Palace in 19th, which is 1.68. Palace in 19th, I would say every week, but those defensive numbers are not encouraging. But they have got an amazing run of fixtures now. So stats or fixtures.
Yeah, I think. Well, they will climb this table, I would have thought. I don't really get how they've transformed from being a top 6 defence to suddenly being plummeted to 19th, but it's the fixtures. What it isn't, I can tell you now, is the fact that they went down to 10 men at Anfield, because of course they didn't. I've said this twice now, and someone's pointed it out to me. It was Liverpool who went down to 10 men at Anfield.
Yep, Nunes.
But if you watch the match, Liverpool absolutely dominated like it was the other way around, which is why I made that mistake. Another mistake that I'm confessing to.
I didn't
tonight.
even.
This is a show of mistakes that I'm confessing to, isn't it? Basically, but there you go.
At least the screens are working.
Yeah, perfect.
I guess the only other team to mention here is probably United in 17th. I mean, obviously they have just come off the back of that hammering, and they've had a couple of those already this season. But Varane is. I just want to say something quickly on Varane. Don't like him.
Go on.
Don't like him.
Right. I knew you were going to follow that with I don't like him. I had a feeling I knew that it was going to be an attack of some kind on the player because that's.
I think he's a great defender. I just think he's a luxury defender who, as soon as something starts going wrong, he calls it quits. I might be wrong. He might have a really bad injury, and I apologise if he does. But it seems to happen a lot in the sense that
you think he was like, I don't fancy this. We're getting thrashed. I'm going to go off.
Yeah.
You think that?
Yeah. And he's done it before, and he's done it for Madrid. He's done it for United in the past. I just don't think where United are, they can afford to have a player like that. They need really. I look at Martinez, for example. That's a committed defender to the cause.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a fan of Varane.
Okay.
Given his reputation and what he's won and stuff, I've expected a lot more from him. I'll get slated for that in the chat, so that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Keepers. Let's have a quick look at these. Again, it's kind of trying to work out which is the keeper to go for if you're thinking of making a change. Slippers went for the Leicester goalkeeper double up of Ward and Iverson, and it paid off kind of straight away. He's still bottom of the list in terms of points per 90 with 2. Played 8 games, got 16 points. But, I would say Leicester goalkeeper owners will be encouraged by what they saw.
Yeah, maybe they kick on a bit. Fixtures as well are okay, but I think defensively they're still suspect. Even Forest carved them open a couple of times. So I don't think you can go forward with Ward and Everson with much confidence. But he didn't have a bad game, did he? Didn't have a bad game. So.
I mean, he made two good saves in situations in which I thought Forest were going to score. I mean, his second one for the header right near the end was excellent, and he's an international keeper for Wales. I liked it. It's why I started the season with him, because whenever I've seen him play, I've always thought he was quite a decent keeper and hasn't shown it. But Rodgers has really kept the faith with him, so it might be that better things on the horizon for him. Looking at the top of the list, I mean, Pope is still number 1, points per 90 of 5. Obviously, though, those points have dried up since everyone's bought him in. He's had two good fixtures against Bournemouth and Fulham and hasn't kept a clean sheet in either, which is typical. Jose Sarr is next, 4.88. Could be interesting depending on who Wolves kind of bring in, if Wolves manage to keep it tight. Sanchez is up there as well. I mean, there's not much in it between any of these defenders, really. I mean, which one would you go for? We ask this question every week.
Yeah, I'd have to have a look at fixtures. I'm quite happy with Raya, as I said. He's second to Henderson on saves, 30 to 33, 4 points, but he's probably still the best 4-5 there. You could look at Meslier depending on fixtures. I'd have to, we can go back to the ticker and have a look how Leeds is run. Look, Meslier at 4-5 is always a good option due to the saves that he makes. But even for baseline bonus per 90, Raya has the edge there, 17.5 to 15.6. So Meslier not as strong on bonus as he was last season. So I think I still stick with Raya. He's in my team, so perhaps I'm biased, but their fixtures are still fairly good from what I can see, and he'll get you save points. That's clear from the totals that we're seeing here. 30 saves so far. Only Henderson with 33 has had more. So yeah, I think it's out of Meslier and Raya myself.
Interesting.
I wouldn't go higher than 4-5.
It's interesting though, because mine would be different. I would say it's between Guaita with the fixtures in goal, although you've been burnt by him many times.
Can't go there again.
Yeah, or Pickford. I like Pickford with the Everton
fixtures
as well.
Pickford we mentioned last week. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to have a good look at the fixtures. I don't know if you can go back to the ticker and take a look at that. But Gator, the thing with Gator is 17 saves is low, isn't it? From 7 games.
Especially tough games as well.
Yeah, I mean, so when they concede, you're not necessarily guaranteed a save point. Whereas with Meslier and Mart and Raya, you would think a save point would get you the 3 at least, right? I mean, it's not much, but when you're talking keeper points, it helps, right?
Well, it's really funny with saves because I never really know if it's good. If a goalkeeper's making loads of saves, is that good? It means teams are getting loads of efforts and on goal, and they're more likely to concede. Like Henderson's had made the most saves, for example, and I've got him, but he only got 1 point because he got battered by Leicester. Whereas I look at Guaita and think they've had tough fixtures. Okay, he hasn't made many saves, but they've played a lot of the top sides and hasn't really had to do much. Maybe that's a sign they're going to keep lots of clean sheets.
Yeah, could be. But it's the number of it's a high number of low quality chances is what you want. So you want a team that concedes a lot of shots, but at a reasonable level of XG that's not too high. That's and I know for a fact that Raya looks good for that because there's been some stuff posted on social and Raya stands out for Brentford allow shots, but the quality of those shots isn't always high quality. Therefore, he's going to likely pull off a save, and that's the nirvana, isn't it? That's what you're looking for. That's the sweet spot.
The nirvana of FPL goalkeepers. That is. Has anyone ever said that?
I like to get my references to 90s music in
nice.
there.
Nice.
I'll try and drop another one in.
Please
That's
do.
blatant.
I would try and help, but
I'll see if,
can't say I'm too familiar with them, so I probably won't bother. I'll just mess it up. Defenders are next. Yeah, I mean, again, this is something we talk about each week, but I'm disappointed by the kind of attacking output of the underlying stats on a lot of these defenders. You know, I mean, last year we had Trent, James, Cancelo, all with XGI non-penalties per 90, probably within the 0.5, maybe even pushing up to 0.6 mark for some of them. This year, I mean, Trent is 0.33, Perisic 0.36. Yeah, I mean, big at the back. I don't know.
It's not great, is it?
Nah, there's not enough clean sheets and there's not enough attacking defenders to really justify it.
No, I mean, obviously Trent is still the most likely, and you know he got the free kick last night. It was sublime. I expected more from Perisic than we're seeing. He did have a shot against Arsenal. He did have a good chance, and he fluffed his lines with that. And there was another scenario where he could have been put through by Richarlison, and he wasn't. So Perisic is getting in some nice positions, but not really getting the end product. So we're gonna. I mean, I'm gonna hold Reece James, Trent, and Perisic for a while yet. I'm not giving up on them as source of attacking points, but yeah, the lack of clean sheets is not great. It's not tiding us over in the meantime. Not what we expected from Liverpool and Chelsea, in particular, in terms of clean sheets. But I think it'll come. I think they will get more reliable defensively, and I think obviously we expect Trent to kick on at some point.
Yeah, I mean, you look down this list. You're trying to find like a kind of an attacking. You know, sometimes you get like a random attacking defender for a side. I just look down this list and think there's no one really that I like the look of. I mean, you know, Zinchenko's right down in 18th, for example, 0.16. You know, just Castagne's there. I mean, 0.16 again. Like you're just relying. Whatever defender you bring in feels like it's switched now. You are now relying on those clean sheets to come through.
Well, it is. I mean, also there's no, you know, Creswell's not an option. No. Matty Cash isn't really an option. No. So there's no like mid-price mids that are in good defences or getting forward a lot that we can go to, right? Exactly. And normally there's one or two of those. You've got Aït-Nouri, but you're not going to go. He's not even a consistent starter. So there isn't anyone there. Maybe Castagne could turn into that if Leicester improve defensively. He's getting forward quite a bit. But yeah, there isn't. There's no one in the mid-price that makes me think I can downgrade a Reece James or a Trent and get someone with similar attacking threat. There isn't really. That's what we need, and then we could flush some money out. I mean, you could, yeah. People will still flush money out of their defence. They'll still get tired with Trent, but they'll likely move to maybe another City defender. But it's hard. I mean, this is the thing with Foden coming out as he has done with that hat-trick. People are going to want to move to at least 2 City attackers. They may even start questioning, do I need a City defender if they don't keep clean sheets? So, yeah, it's interesting, but the bigger the back's not happening. But at the same time, I don't think there's any drive to get money out of there either, because, like I said, do we need 2 heavy hitters? You know, it's there where we're looking to save money. I think at the moment it's that second heavy hitter. Do we need it?
Well, I guess the only drive is in a situation like mine, in which I could upgrade Gross to or Pereira or someone to a Trossard or a Zaha, you know, to try and get it out. And I think like Trent, James and Cancelo are kind of fine, but when I've got Diaz, for example, and I look at, like you say, I look at the 5-ish million mids and defenders, sorry, and you got Trippier, obviously he's a standout, but then I look at like Castagna, 4.4 million. I mean, that is dirt cheap for him. You know, even Dallo, 4.5. You know, there are still cheap options around that kind of 4.5 mark that you can free up a lot of money to, and then just put them back on your bench, so you can put that money in midfield and up front, because we've got good striking options, we've got midfield options. I just think 4 or 5 at the back now is something I would be looking to get rid of, and I am looking to move away from.
I think the most intriguing option there could be Chilwell when he's fit and back in the team at 5'8". He's someone that we expect to work his way up this chart to the top 10, right? So he was even in the top 2 or 3, I think, last season, because he played few games and got returns. And it's been a similar story this season. When he plays, he gets returns. He's just not fit and in the team. So we need him to be have more starts, get more fitness, and then we could see him as an option at 5'8". I mean, Diaz to Chilwell might make sense, but you need some Chelsea clean sheets. And we saw earlier they're conceding big chances, so it's not there at the moment.
Yeah. Gahey's another one. He's not on this list because his points per 90 is low and his XGI non-penalty per 90 is non-existent. But again, if you're just looking for pure clean sheet potential, like we're saying, a Palace defender like him or Mitchell could be a good option. Salah owners, don't expect too many more returns. XGI non-penalty per 90 of 0.06.
Yes, Andy. Yeah, that start he got.
So annoying.
Yeah.
So annoying when a highly owned and like well bought in player like him just keeps getting these outrageous finishes out of nothing. But yep, fair play if you've benefited from that. Midfielders, we've got quite a lot to talk about here. Just looking at the two big names at the top are De Bruyne and Salah. An XGI non-penalty per 90 for De Bruyne of 0.84. Salah with 0.71. I mean, that is still elite.
Still good, isn't it?
It's still like elite levels, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what is surprising is 2 goals from 7 starts. That's the thing. We've talked about him to death, haven't we? But he's just not delivering the points per 90, 6.14. It's low down. It's not in the top 10 for midfielders. Who would have thought that? Points per 90 not in the top 10 for mids.
Crazy.
At this point. It is crazy. I just, like I say, there's a case now for not having 2 heavy hitters. And if you do that, then Salah's not in your team because the one heavy hitter is Haaland. And as we're going to see in a minute, the midfielders in the mid-price are where our attention is at the moment. Is that because they've just delivered and are they not going to keep it up? Possibly, but there are midfielders like Odegaard, like Saka, like what was the other player you mentioned? Diaz, like who haven't yet kicked in and they could, right? So there's a lot of talent in that bracket that makes me think that flushing money out of the second heavy hitter is the way to go. And so that means that Salah may be sacrificed by those who got him in. A lot went with him on the wild card, right? And then paid the price if they captained him. Where would you go now with Salah? Would you have done that? Yeah,
I would definitely have done that. I was talking about it and saying, it's good to be different this week, and Haaland's got United, all that. Like, I completely like would have fallen into that trap. Sometimes FPL works in funny ways where I didn't have that decision to make. Where would I go with him? I mean, I look at him play, and I still think there's something not quite right in that Liverpool side. With the different players coming in and out, and I don't know, with Trent being off form, that's quite a big of creativity gone. There's Nunes coming to the team. They're kind of all desperate to get him a goal, and he doesn't seem to be able to do it. And I still think, there's to be paying 13 million. You've got to be sure that player is going to be the heartbeat and be instrumental in everything. We've seen it from enough games now to make me think that's not the case. But then I look at these underlying stats and think 0.71 is elite levels of this, this XGI non-penalty.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not as good as last season, but it's better than his previous 3 seasons, I think, that XGI non-penalty per 90. So it's high, even for Salah, not compared to last season, but other seasons.
Exactly. And I mean, you mentioned Diaz. I mean, Diaz isn't even in the top 30 for underlying stats. So he's relying on, cutting inside and scoring wonder goals and that kind of stuff. And the stats point to the fact that Salah is clearly the better option, but it's not really drawn out by what I'm seeing. I think it's too much money for him at the moment, but I do think when the blank comes up with Arsenal and City, he's probably the player that I'd most want to captain at home to West Ham. So I think you have to hold for that week and then assess afterwards. Yeah,
I guess if you got him on the wild card, you got him on the wild card with that scenario in mind. The other player to pick out is Son in 17th. Right? It's not bad, but you'd expect more from who I consider to be an elite player, the Premier League and in FPL. 0.46 XGI non-penalty per 90 is disappointing. We'd expect to see in the top 10, wouldn't you? And he's just not. And this is what we've seen with with the eye test. He's been disappointed. He got the hat trick, but they're the only 3 goals he's got. So he's only returned in 1 of his 7 starts so far. We need more from him, though. We need him to make the season more interesting. We need him to become an option. The other player that I want to mention is Rodrigo. He's not in the table we're about to show of mid-price midfielders, but he's back. He's fit. And he appears to be favoured over Bamford to start. And his data is still strong. He's 4th in this table, 0.58 XGI non-penalty per 90. Still playing central striker. And, of course, the problem is that Bamford is a risk to his minutes, I guess. And he got subbed at the weekend, I believe. But he's back and he could still be an option. And Sinistera in the same team would be an option, but he gone and got the red, and so he's not a factor at the moment.
Such a stupid red card.
Yeah.
To get. Yeah, I mean, there's question marks, isn't there, around the Leeds attack, who comes in and what is the kind of strongest lineup. I mean, Seb still maintains that Rodrigo isn't in the strongest lineup, and I was watching the game with a Leeds fan. Matt at the weekend, he said as well he doesn't think when everyone's fully fit that Rodrigo will be first choice. So great option if he plays and is out of position and up front. But I think with Bamford there, the Leeds fans want to see Bamford back in the side.
I think you'd go Sinistero, wouldn't you, over Rodrigo at the moment? But that situation could change. Like Rodrigo played okay, I thought, and looked dangerous. So I think he's getting a bad press from Leeds fans because I think Jesse Marsh does like him, made him captain. So in the absence of Cooper, but Cooper's back now and the armband's back on him, and I don't know. I think he's a player to keep an eye on because if Rodrigo was a factor again, it'd be another midfielder, and then we're edging towards going 2 up front, 5 in midfield again, maybe.
Yeah,
so that could be interesting.
Yeah, it changes around so quickly, doesn't it? Because I mean, if Mitrovic is out for a while, then I might be looking at switching to 5 in midfield again. Yeah. Whereas like 2 weeks ago, I'm saying there's 5 strikers that I'd like to have and things. It's interesting times in FPL land at the moment.
Yeah. It's good, isn't it? It's good that, like, even though I'm trailing, I do look at it and think there are opportunities about. There are players about that you can get on and try and catch some points, try and catch the output. But as we saw this week with Trossard, so yeah, options are increasing, which is great.
Yeah. One player I just want to mention quickly just before we come into the mid-price mids, because we're going to be talking about Foden in quite a lot of detail. But I was so impressed with Grealish against Man U. I think from an FPL perspective, he's not going to be an option for us, sadly, because his role in the team does seem to be almost assisting the assister or creating free kicks or dribbling with the ball and stuff. But I really think he's starting to show some signs of why they paid that much money for him, because just some of the stuff he can do on the ball and the players he can take the ball past and the pressure he can get them out of and things. And then it just frees up other players to get into more central spots like Foden was doing and Haaland. So we're going to talk about Foden a lot in a second, but I think while Grealish is in that team, I just really think Foden is a really strong option.
Yeah, I think the issue for Grealish is he's not playing a role that gets in goals and assists. No. He's playing a role that actually opens up space for others, right? Attracts defenders to him. Exactly. Like you say, gets them up the field, wins them free kicks when under pressure. He's excellent at that. He was excellent at that for Villa, but for Villa he had end product as well because they relied on him. City don't need him to score goals and assists. No. They just need him to attract defenders, to leave space for the number 8, Gundogan and De Bruyne, and also for Haaland, of course. So perfect. He's perfect for the way they play, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, what he was doing in the game against United was actually moving towards goal more. Like, we've seen him play for City, moving quite wide and out to the left, but he was actually cutting inside more and moving towards goal. And then, he has the link-up play with Haaland or with Foden, just can lay it off and win a foul, win a penalty. Yeah, I think he's looking really strong. Let's take a look at. Should we do my favourite player first, or should we do mid-price mids? Let's do my favourite player first.
Mid-price. I don't know. What have you got? Okay.
Let's do my favourite.
What have you got? You got a screen for Maddison?
No.
Okay.
Sorry. My second player. It's a Trossard season.
I was going to
say
you confused me completely.
I've got so many players at the moment. So this is just looking at Trossard's this season compared to previous seasons in the past. I famously, in inverted commas, once very pissed on a stream, said that he's got absolutely no end product whatsoever.
I sampled that. I must dig that one out.
You did. He got 8 goals and 4 assists last season, 5 goals and 6 assists before that, 5 goals and 5 assists. So he averages around sort of 10 to 12 goal contributions since he's been in the league. He's got 7 already at the moment, thanks in large to the hat trick. But his XG non-penalty per 90 is the highest ever been this season, 0.53. He's normally around the 0.4-ish mark in kind of previous seasons. He's having more shots. His shots in the box are up, more big chances. His accuracy is improved. And crucially, his conversion is 30% compared to 10, 8 and 12 in previous seasons. So the question mark is this a new Trossard, who's now really clinical and will finish loads of chances? Or is this a really small sample of data and actually he's going to regress back to what we've seen from him in previous season?
Well, it's the second one, right? The conversion rate of 29.4 isn't going to be maintained. Previously, he's had 10.8, 8.6, 12.2. So his conversion rate will at least halve, you would have thought, over time. But I think what's interesting is he was playing wing-back, and he certainly wasn't playing wing-back on Anfield, was he? He was much more involved.
Those days are gone.
I looked at his touches. his touches were all over the pitch, right? So he's almost looks like he had a free role in that game. Maybe really fluid formation, swapping positions with Gross. So I think it's a different player now under the new manager. Was it De Zerbi? That's how you pronounce it. Is that how you pronounce it?
De Zerbi.
De Zerbi. Not De Zebra. Not De Zebedee.
God, you're confusing me now. De Zerbi.
No.
De Zerbi.
De Zerbi. We've got to watch him because he's a fantastic player, always has been. But his end product has let him down. The role he's played in the team has always been one that we've never been at. We've been confused, haven't we, about what he is. Is he a 10? Is he a winger? Is he a wing back? So now I think we assess again. But what we saw at Anfield was fantastic. So it's not going to continue like that. But I think, as we're going to see in the next table, he compares incredibly well to other players in this bracket. And so by that very nature, and the fact that he's now looking like he's going to have a different role and perhaps a more attacking role, we've got to take him very, very seriously.
I think we have to. I mean, 6.7 is a good price for him. I actually thought at the start of the season he was overpriced at 6.5. I was hoping he'd come in at 6. But now I think he's just the jewel in the crown of the Brighton side, and he's substantially a better option than Gross now and Welbeck if you're looking to invest in one of our attackers. He won't be playing. I mean, his output's been really good at left wing back for Potter. I mean, like what Potter did with Sterling. They're not really a left wing back. They're not really a defender. Like that gives them too much kind of onus on them having some defensive duties. I mean, I'm not sure what's happening in the Chelsea game tonight, but in Potter's first game, Sterling was not a wing back. He was the furthest player forward in the side, and Trossard was again for Brighton. And now he has that kind of. Estupinian's going to play at left back because he's the only one we've got, really. So Trossard's role in the team now is going to be chief kind of creator and maybe even a goal scorer, depending on his link up with Welbeck and where Potter sees that going. So yeah, I mean this is the mid-price midfielders table we've got. This is with Foden, Maddison, Bowen, Zaha, and Trossard, all absolutely excellent options. But yeah, like you say, Trossard comes across really favourably. He scored the joint most goals this season alongside Foden and Maddison. He's had the most touches in the box of all of these players, 43. Most shots inside the box. He's had the most big chances. And yeah, his XGI non-penalty per 90 is better than Maddison, Bowen and Zaha. Only Foden beats him 0.59. So it's encouraging. Yeah,
it is. And you look at this and you think, well, Foden's stats is the most dominant on show here. In terms of XGI non-penalty, he's the best, 0.59. Maddison, 0.42. Bowen, 0.25. Zaha, 0.45. And then Trossard, 0.53. So Foden looks the better. The issue I've got with Foden, just moving on to him, is he's done this before. I mean, he drew the wild card for me last season. When that performance at Brighton, he played very well, looked like a must-have. I made the wild card, played the wild card, then he just disappointed me from that point on. You've always been good at finding Foden's points, and you've done it again. I wonder whether he can maintain this. What I will say is he does look a lot better out on the right-hand side, doesn't he, than he did on the left. And it looks like his licence to drift inside from the right is greater than it was when he was on the left. Don't know why that would be. Don't know if it's got something to do with the Cancelo role when he's out there. Whether that's something to do with link up with Haaland, I don't know. But Grealish looks established on the left now, and as you said, looks to be working for City, and Foden, if he is on the right permanently, looks different, looks better. But I've fallen for it before. I've gone, Foden looks good in this role, and then he's moved back to the left, hugged the touchline, and not factored. So I'm a bit wary. What you're going to keep Foden? You've said that, but do you think it's dependent on his role, or do you think that it's anywhere he plays he's going to return? Yeah,
I mean, I prefer him on the right out of all those. I mean, in previous seasons, he's been tipped as like the next David Silva, so that kind of central-ish midfield role that Silva played so well. I mean, Silva was never a fantastic FPL option. He had good seasons. He's one of City's, if not City's best ever player. Although Haaland could probably beat that soon, but FPL wise, I always found David Silva to be quite frustrating because he would often assist his sister and that kind of stuff. Then he played false nine as well. Well, Pep false nines haven't really tended to be massive goal scorers. He played Sterling there before. They do better with an out and out nine kind of playing there. So again, he's dropping deep, he's linking up play, all that kind of stuff. I think he's just got more license to do what he wants. On the right, I think when he's on the left, he hugs the touchline a bit too much, and that allows maybe Cancelo when he's on the left to kind of come in central a bit more. But when he's on the right, I think he's just told because Walker isn't going to get forward.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think
he hasn't really got the legs to do it, right? So
yeah,
he can kind of just do what he wants, and he knows he's got that kind of cover there. So I think he's a standout 8 million option for me if he's on the right.
The other thing is the link up with De Bruyne. You've seen it in many games now. Foden's come inside. De Bruyne's gone outside him. Foden's laid the ball into De Bruyne. De Bruyne across, Haaland goal. Like, that's a pattern of play that they're looking for every game. So it's working for them. So that's going to continue. Foden's going to play, come inside and look for that link and De Bruyne on the overlap. And they're looking for it. Every single match I've seen them since Foden's been out on the right. Doesn't always work, but it has worked. And I think that's going to continue. So I think Foden looks the most profitable long term out of these 5 midfielders. Maddison, you've got to think, given that his XG iron on penalty is the lowest on show other than Bowen, will he maintain the rate of returns? He could do, but it's not likely. I would have said. I think that he's probably overperforming at the moment with the 5 goals so far from 7 starts. He's no way going to maintain that, but he could be strong over the course of the season. But you'd think Foden would edge it. Bowen's going to get better. Zaha should get better, but he's had a good start, but the fixtures are good for him. So if I was ranking these in order for the season, I'd probably put Foden top, I would say.
I think so.
It's dependent on that role on the right.
Yeah, I like them all. I really do. I think, we can see it, we can make a case for any of them. I mean, Bowen and Zaha are the ones, stats-wise, that are showing up kind of the weakest. I mean, Zaha isn't leading on any metric except for touches in the box per 90, 6.95. So less shots, less chances created, all that kind of stuff. Less big chances than someone like Trossard. But he's on pens. I think he's the only one of these 5 who's on pens as well, which does boost him up. And obviously Palace have had those really tough fixtures. So yeah, I'm good. But basically this week I'm probably going to be picking out of Zaha and Trossard, and I don't know which one to get.
Is this a midfield? If you can get this 5, you would, wouldn't you? If you could.
I was just thinking, I was just looking at it and thinking that is a pretty tasty midfield fight. And last week you were saying that, me not having a premium mid is causing sleepless nights. But actually it's not having some of these 8 million mids that's causing more sleep. I mean, Saka isn't even on here, for example. And
Diaz, as we said.
And Diaz, I mean, they're both excellent options as well.
Yeah.
So
but it is based on a week where we've seen 2 hat-tricks. A 4 hat-trick, so it's a Maddison a brace. So So we've got to be careful. It's recency bias, I guess. But I think suddenly these options are coming to the fore, and the fixtures are good for them as well. I mean, even looking at the fixtures, obviously Foden's got the missing fixture, but all of these players have got a good run really. So up to 16.
I mean, four of these 5 midfielders on the screen are the talisman for their team. Talisman? Does that work? I feel like I've invented a word, but talisman. I'm patsing that.
Yeah,
that's great. So you put Foden top then. I think I'd agree with that.
Over the season. I mean, at the moment, I would probably go Maddison, Zaha, Foden, Trossard, Bowen. Or maybe Bowen, Trossard, because Foden's got the missing fixture. But over the season, if he stays on the right, he will probably get the most points out of these 5, I would say.
Yeah. I don't think I can go Zaha over Trossard. I just don't think my Brighton allegiance will allow me to do that. And that's the bias.
Well,
that's the bias we have, right? I just don't think I can do it. I can't. Yeah.
That was like me. Like, I didn't want to go Maddison. I went Bowen 2 weeks ago because I didn't want to have Maddison for the Forest game. And look how
I know.
I would have been better off because he scored at Liverpool, and he scored in the game before the Forest game, didn't he? And where was that? Spurs, right? He got the goal there, and then returned on Monday night too. So he's actually outscored Bowen over those 2 games, but. It's hard picking a player against your team, but I'm learning how to do it, right? So,
you can't always play optimally. Sometimes, FPL's a game where sometimes you want to play with your heart a little bit and not your head. So
it goes back to what I said at the start, isn't it? There are humans involved in playing this game. Exactly. We're not robots, and we make mistakes because we're led by emotions other than cold hard numbers. And there are people out there and say, well, that's not optimal. It's not how you play the game. Yeah, okay. Shoot me for it,
if I ever start playing a game like that, though, then I just won't play. I just don't think I'll play. Speaking of robots, the Fantasy Football Scout Rate My Team. Looking at something that you helped build. So this is the kind of model of predicted points kind of over the next 6 weeks. It's really useful for stuff like this because you can just plug in these players and see what the kind of algorithms and models are predicting to come good. So this has got Zaha right at the top over the next 6 weeks, 31.5 predicted points. Then it's Bowen, then it's Maddison. Then you've got to go some way down to Foden, past Diaz, Martin and Kulusevski, and then it's Trossard. So there's your ranking if you're doing it by a statistical model. Zaha at the top. So it's kind of ignoring some of those underlying stats, and it's very fixture led.
Yeah, it is.
I'd say.
Yeah, it is. And Zaha could easily come out on top because of the penalties as well. Bowen here over Maddison, I'm not so sure about. That's the one I would question. I think Foden is lower down because of the missing fixture. It's fair enough. And Trossard, the model has not yet responded to obviously new position and maybe more attacking option. So Trossard could climb in the model over a series of weeks, but he's not going to jump quickly. So yeah, I'm not surprised to see this. Probably I am surprised to see Bowen ahead of Maddison in the rate my team ratings up to 16. That's all I would say. But again, we think Maddison will regress and Bowen will get better. So maybe, in terms of output, that is. Yeah. So maybe it's got a point.
Yep.
Who am I to doubt a computer?
Exactly. What and how could we? Yeah, interesting. All good options, but yeah, some hopefully some tidbits for people having to make decisions on them, like I am. Let's take a look forwards. So, who's that guy at the top? Erling Haaland. Not heard of him.
Tasty. Pretty good, I think.
13.07 points per 90.
I mean, it's not even worth a conversation. I don't want to spend any more time talking about Haaland, to be honest, because any, FBL content, you don't need to talk about Haaland. There we are, sticking him on the front of the thumbnail, but it's just ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, we don't need to dwell on it anymore. It's done. He's in our teams. He's going to be wearing the captaincy or the armband most weeks, if not every week. So let's look at what else we got here.
You're the one talking about him. I'm happy to.
I know. Yeah, but the data, the numbers are ridiculous.
They are just absolutely.
I mean, 1.1 XGI non-penalty per 90. Yeah, freak. Yeah, what else do you make of this here? I mean, Callum Wilson back in the Newcastle team, scoring 7.2. We don't go there because of the injury proneness, I guess. Injury proneness. Is that a word? I don't know. I'm inventing language now. It's not, is it? What am I talking about? But yeah, Wilson, I guess. Short-term option for Mitrovic, maybe?
I like him. I've always liked Callum Wilson, and 3 goals in 4 starts for him. His stats are really nice so far. Newcastle right at the top of the attacking stats. As a team, fixtures are good as well. There's the only thing not to really like about him is the injury proneness, like you mentioned. I think he's an excellent sort of replacement for Mitrovic though. The fact is he's been out for a while. He's come straight back into that team with Isak out and scored and played really well. So there is a high chance that he breaks down again, but I guess you just kind of deal with that and accept it and hopefully get some points kind of in the meantime. He would be my number one Mitrovic replacement. Well,
we're going to look at his fixtures and detailed data in a minute. I think we've got another screen, but going down the list, we talked about Son being disappointing. Kane's in 9th here. He's in the top 10 for key data, 0.61. But again, it kind of reflects what we've seen from Spurs, isn't it? It's like they're nearly men in terms of elite FPL assets. They're not yet at their peak. They're not yet producing at a level where we can consider going with them long term. I mean, I might go back to Son for game week 11, but I wouldn't keep Son long term at the moment unless we see more from him and Kane. And their partnership has been so important to Spurs and also as FPL assets, and it's not been there this season. They don't seem to be on the same wavelength as much.
No,
so, Kane's a disappointment.
I mean, I look at Kane's stats and I think these are all right. 7 points per 90 is really high. He's got 7 goals and 2 assists. His accuracy's high. His conversion's high. He's in the top 10 for shots per 90. But I watch the games, and I just get so frustrated watching him. I really do. And we've seen it. We saw him last season picking the ball up in the field and pinging the ball over for Son, who runs in and scores. And even that isn't really happening at the moment. So, these stats are fine. I look at that and I'm not worried. 0.61 XGI non-penalty per 90. That's good. I'm happy with that. Everything's all right. It's just want a bit more.
and particularly as you said, when we're looking at going with one heavy hitter. Briefly, Firmino, flash in the pan, can't go there because of Nunes, I guess, and Jota.
I mean, you can't really, can you? But he looks a lot better than Nunes does at the moment. I mean, the goals he scored were excellent against us, and you got to think, at a time when they're struggling, maybe going back to basics with what they know with Jota, Salah, and Firmino would benefit them, because Nunes is trying too hard. So I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't get Firmino myself, because
no, it's not. I don't.
But
too risky, isn't it?
No.
Too risky, I think.
Yeah. Mitrovic replacements.
Let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, this looks at Wilson in a bit more detail, compares him to the likes of Tony, and I guess who else is on the list here? Welbeck. Solanke, who's hardly got a mention on social media. Solanke. I think, as we're going to see when we look at the Rate My Team data, Mitrovic is not an easy sell. We're going to have to hear that he's out for a defined period before we're willing to get rid, I would have thought. We're not going to get... don't think many will get rid on the back of one game missing because of the price rises, and we're probably going to lose like 0.2, 0.3 maybe for some. So I don't think many will be in a hurry to get rid. But if I was looking at this, Tony's data still looks good. Tony's fixtures still looks okay. I mean, of the strikers we're looking at here, Tony, Solanke, Watkins, Welbeck and Wilson, Brentford have got the toughest run. They've got City in game week 16, and it's Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea, Villa, Wolves, Forest. It's not bad. But the next three are tricky.
Yeah.
You've got to think Newcastle's defence, Brighton defence, Chelsea defence. They could all turn up, and on their day they can be solid, but they haven't been. I mean, Brighton, we're yet to see what their defence is going to look like under what's-his-face, De Zerbi. So Tony's fixtures are the lesser on show of these candidates, but I'd still be inclined to go. I'm going to keep him, I think. And would I buy him if I was selling Mitrovic? Who would I go? I mean, Watkins is tempted because they got Forest away, haven't they? But where would you go? Where would you, if you were forced to sell Mitrovic? You know what? I'd probably go Welbeck. What would you do? Are you going to say Welbeck as well?
No, I'm going to say
Wilson.
I'm going to say Wilson again. I mean, I would rule out Tony just because of those next three: Newcastle, Brighton, and Chelsea. Mitrovic is so ridiculously important to Fulham that, like, if he's out for a while, he's really bad. Like, he's going to be out for a while. Hopefully it's just 1 week and it's just a bit of a knock. But even the fact he got subbed, but then that was after the red card. I don't know. We have to wait and see. But Wilson, I think, is the best short-term punt. Brentford, United, and Everton. Really like those three fixtures. He's back. Isak's still a bit of a doubt. We don't really know what's going on with him. So, yeah, I like Wilson for that. Solanke, Bournemouth's attacking data is just an absolute no. I've seen 2 matches of Villa that have made me want to stab my eyes out with a fork. So I wouldn't go anywhere near any of the Villa attackers.
Sorry, Adam.
I just can't. I can't own a player for a team like Villa who are just so repugnant. Is that a word? That's the word. That's the word that I wanted to use. I don't know if that's a word.
Is it repugnant, isn't it?
Repugnant.
Oh, yeah.
Repugnant. We are inventing a new language today.
Inventing language all the time. I don't know what's going on.
Repugnant.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, look at the data here. Wilson is the one that shows up the best in terms of outside of raw data, like the goals and assists, shots in the box, numbers. Tony dominates because he's played more minutes, but in 308 minutes, touches in the box per 90, shots in the box per 90, big chance per 90. Wilson dominates of these 5. And his XGI non-penalty per 90 is 0.83, which is really high and considerably higher than any of these. So Wilson, when fit, does data-wise look the best option. And he has got Brentford at home, United away, is it? And then Everton at home. So 2 of the next 3 are good. And, you may even see him getting something at United too. So, yeah, probably be Wilson. But I'd be tempted by Welbeck. I thought he was incredibly impressive at Anfield.
He's
really, really good. He's had a strong season so far.
He has. I mean, he's a player reborn, really. I mean, with all the injuries he's had and getting into his kind of later years and stuff. And, he's played at some top clubs, United and Arsenal. And everyone kind of saw it as a bit of a step down for him, I think, coming to Brighton. But particularly, this is the best I've seen him for many years. The issue is, it's the same old Welbeck. He just can't score. He just can't finish. Like he had 2 brilliant chances against Liverpool, 2 headers. And he's got to be scoring. He can't just be hitting them straight at Alisson. And he does it all the time. His finishing just isn't good enough. And, you compare that to Wilson, who is really clinical in front of goal. I mean, I know he's frustrated people before, but he's, you know, he is a very, very good finisher. I mean, his conversion rate here is 27.3%. Welbeck's is 0 because he hasn't got a goal yet, despite having 13 shots.
I'll go Wilson.
Yeah, that's the issue with it. That's the issue with it. And I do worry that, you know, if things don't go well, if things aren't going well for Brighton from an attacking sense, you know, if we need a goal or whatever, I think the system could change around and he could be subbed. You know, Undav could come in. They could move Trossard up front. Like, we have got other options that can come in. I don't think he's a terrible option. I don't trust him as an FPL asset. Great player for us though. My dad loves him.
We've got to mention Chris every show, haven't we? Is he all right with me at the moment? He doesn't like me because of not captaining Haaland, does he? Yeah,
it's not that he doesn't like you. He's just not impressed.
Oh, no. He's not impressed. Heroic Doses says, if the Brighton fan is saying avoid Welbeck, yeah, good point.
Well, my dad loves Welbeck. Like, my dad sent me a message before the Brighton game. It was like, captain Welbeck. I was like, Dad, you can't captain Welbeck away at Anfield. I mean, you know, no one's that kind of crazy. But he really kind of rates him and really likes him. But I think he looks at it from a footballing perspective rather than an FPL hat, which is one of the reasons why he doesn't play.
Game week 12, home to Forest. I won't be there. I bet you Welbeck breaks his duck in that game.
He probably will. Yeah, I think all our players will probably break their duck in that game. Could be a bit of a row, actually.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Sorry.
Be sure to text me.
I will. Oh, I'll be regular updates. I've got to take my GoPro and film myself if you're not going. Let's just take a quick look at the Rate My Team. It's all from Scout again. Mitrovic is at the top, despite him being yellow flagged. So, you know, again, if he's fit, you keep him, or if he's even going to miss.
And this is the significance, isn't it? We don't want to sell him if it's one game, because the model suggests that he will be the top scoring player of all strikers 7.5 and under anyway, even with missing that one game. So he's not a sell, is he? Unless we know he's out for more than one game. No, I don't think.
Then you've got Tony, and then you've got Welbeck. Martial was interesting. We haven't really mentioned him. He got the goals against City when he came off the bench. I think he's going to be the leading striker for United going forward. The fixtures for them aren't great, but he is one to consider. 6.9 million for him. The model really doesn't like Callum Wilson.
Well, it's the fitness. It's the minutes. It's expected minutes, right? So it's presuming here that he's gonna break down again. I guess Isak will come back from his suspension and from his injury rather. And no, is he suspended or injured? Remind me, Isak. He's injured. He's injured. Yeah. He's injured. I guess that Isak's going to come out. I mean, we think Isak's going to play wide, but yeah. I mean, it's a weakness of the model there, isn't it? That it's going to take time to get confidence in Wilson's fitness, and then his X-Mins will go up. But maybe the model's right. Have we got confidence in Wilson's fitness?
Well, I think
probably not.
Yeah, right? I think it's right to be conservative with Wilson's points, because you never really know when he is going to kind of break down. But I think the potential is there if he starts and he's playing kind of regularly. Brentford, United, and Everton. Like I said, I think that's a really good 3 games for Newcastle to score.
Yeah, short term, it's good.
Yeah. One other player that we've just had mentioned in the chat, which we haven't talked about from Miles Holder, is Skamaka, who I actually tweeted about. If we look at the forwards, he's 30th on the list for XGI non-penalty per 90, which is really bad, 0.12. But there's a player in there, isn't there? There's a hell of a player.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I saw him firsthand against Forest, and he's fighting the life out of me. He's a unit, and he can move, and he can obviously finish, as we saw of his goal in Europe last week. I just think West Ham's attacking data has been poor. West Ham's attacking performances have matched that data, obviously. We've seen it with our eyes, of the eye test, that West Ham are struggling to get any fluidity in their attack. But it could be coming. And they've got good fixtures. So I would rather backbow him. But Skamaka, how do you pronounce it? Shamaka, that's it. I get there in the end, don't I?
I have no idea. I thought it was Skamaka. So.
It is Shamaka, yeah. I like him a lot, but I think it's still a wait and see with him, innit? We need to get him. Antonio's still there, still an option for Moyes. I don't think Antonio's going to move wide. I think the two will share minutes and starts. So I think for that reason, it's still a wait and see. No one's going to move for Skamaka. I can't say it right the first time. It's only the second time. I've got to get it wrong in order to get it right. It's one of those things. I don't think so at the moment. But keep an eye on him, because you're right, there's a player in there for sure.
Well, you say no one's going to move for him. If Mitrovic is out for a little bit of time, and we don't really know how long, the only way I could get Wilson would be for a hit. I don't really want to do a hit for Wilson. I could just move Mitrovic too. Skamaka. I'm just going to call him Skamaka. I'm just going to stick to what I know, which is wrong, but I'll call him Skamaka. But I have been impressed with him. He got 65 minutes against Wolves. Moyes is saying he wants to play him more and get more minutes in him. Antonio is a worry and a concern because he does still like to play him and he's still getting a lot of minutes. But it was a bit of a punt. I quite like that move, just given that West Ham's fixtures are nice, and I've been impressed with kind of what I've seen. Fulham and Southampton next. Yeah,
home to Fulham is a good fixture. Yeah.
So if I'm just looking for someone for a couple of weeks before I move back for Mitrovic.
For a couple of weeks, and as we said, that's probably what people are going to... Anyone getting rid of it, if it's only going to be short term, there's no way you're going to keep him out of your team. So Skamaka, got it right first time, is an option short term. Yeah, I agree. But he is a pump because of the Antonio minutes. And have West Ham turned the corner? Don't know yet. No. But Fulham's a good fixture.
Yep. Yeah. He is definitely a punt though. Right, predictions. Smug mode for both of us activated.
Me or you?
Well,
both of us. I'm not sure the 1300 in the chat can take both of us being smug at once.
Smug. Look at Yolo. 7 results out of 10 you got right. That's got to be close to a record or a record.
I think that's a personal best. That's a personal best for me in a given game week. Yeah, I'm delighted. Gone over the 50%. There it is.
I know.
That's what I need. That's what I want.
51%. The only ones you got wrong were Fulham. You had Fulham to beat Newcastle. A draw between Arsenal and Spurs, and then Southampton-Everton. You went for Southampton, Everton won. But 7 results. Fair play. Great. Great prediction.
I was pleased with that. And Arsenal Spurs, if it weren't for the red card, could have been the draw. I think it probably would have been the draw. I think Spurs would have got something. So, I'm pleased with that. But you got the 3-3 at Liverpool, which, behave, tell us. Right, come on. When I saw that, I was like, 3-3. Like Brighton are going to score 3 goals. Well, like Liverpool were going to score 3 goals, to be honest, against a Brighton defence that's been resolute before. I just didn't see it a game of goals or 2. I thought that would be a 1 or 1-0 maybe. I don't know what I predicted. I said 1-0. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, which would have been, a bit of a Lawrenson pick, but fair enough. What did you think there then? You just the wild card new manager?
I said it all last week. It's to do with systems, right? It was a Brighton team that is going to invite the press, and a Liverpool team that will press really high and like they always do, and that kind of thing leads to goals, because if Brighton mess up the space and Liverpool can play into it, then they'll get goals. But equally, if Liverpool don't press well enough, which they haven't been for a lot of the season, then Brighton are going to have space to exploit, and that kind of is what happened. It was such a shame when we were 2-0 up. And then, we kind of threw it away to 3-2. I was genuinely really sad because I was like, this would have been such a good win for De Zerbi in his first match. And there's been people critical of him already, like before he's even played a match, saying he's not experienced. And
I think that was a well-known radio station that was laying into him.
I was not impressed.
Not like them to take a hot take, is it? But yeah.
And then to get the third goal as well was brilliant. So. Yeah, it's lucky, isn't it? It could have been any score really that, but I'll take it. That's one of my better, and the fact it was Brighton as well does makes it even sweeter.
Yeah, because we haven't talked about Brighton enough tonight. Let's move on from the smugness, shall we? Let's get on to this week's predictions.
Hey, you're lucky I haven't done a segment on Danny Welbeck. At least I don't. No. If I thought he could score a goal, I would have done.
I almost tempted you into it, but you turned it down. Fair enough.
Fixtures. Let's run through these sort of relatively quickly. Bournemouth, Leicester. We've both gone for a Leicester win. You've given Bournemouth a goal. Very generous of you.
Well, Leicester's defence is so bad, and set pieces, right? Bournemouth are pretty strong in set plays.
That's true.
So I think that's where they'll catch them. So yeah, I've gone with that. I've gone for 2-1 Leicester though.
Yeah, that's a good point. We often see, don't we, from these like newly promoted teams, that set plays are a key way in which they're going to score goals. And when I do my Sam Allardyce analysis for Forest, obviously I'm going to be focusing on that. Chelsea Wolves. You've gone for a 2-0 Chelsea. I've gone for a 2-1.
Where's the Wolves goal coming from there? Who's getting that for them?
Well,
Podence?
I'm hoping
leading score with 2 goals.
I'm hoping the shackles are off a little bit for them, because they've had to play this quite contained, boring style of football under Lager, and it hasn't been very impressive.
Why do you call him Lager? Is that because you've had a few?
What is it?
I thought it was Bruno Lage.
Is it
Lage?
Lage?
It's Bruno Lage, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
I prefer Lager, to be honest. But,
I've been drinking non-alcoholic again. I can't even. Isn't? I've always called it lager.
It's been a show of invented words and mispronunciations, hasn't it? Vote for us in the FCAs, by the way.
Technical issues, lateness.
Make sure you vote for us in the best fantasy content. the two that can't pronounce words and make up English language on the spot, basically.
I'll tell you who's going to get the goal for Wolves. Diego Costa.
Who? Yeah, well,
Gets his old club.
Wouldn't that be a story? He's going to start.
He looks off it, completely off it at the moment. But if anyone's going to score, it's got
to play him for the Bants, as they would say, as the kids would say.
Absolutely, yeah. City
That'd
Southampton.
be great if the new Wolves manager said, "Costa, you're starting for the Bants."
Yeah, I got you. They're going to be bringing in, this Real Madrid guy soon anyway. Let's just stick Costa up front and try and get a goal against Chelsea.
Yeah.
City Southampton. I've gone for 3-1. You've gone for 3-0.
Southampton.
They do all right against City for some reason. They beat him last year, didn't they? 1-0.
I always remember Pep cuddling Nathan Redmond. No, he didn't cuddle him. He had a go at him, didn't he? Because I think he was saying, "You're a better player than that. You should have hurt us." Remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah.
But Redmond's not playing for Southampton anymore. I think he's gone, isn't he? Is he off
you
on
think he's
loan
their only
yet?
chance? They need to bring him.
Yeah, exactly. He always plays well against City. No, I don't see Southampton scoring. I mean, City have conceded goals, silly goals, but they're still, like you said, we saw earlier, defensive data is good. And I think Southampton are like Wolves. I don't see where their goals are coming from. Che Adams is their best hope, I guess, of a goal, but no,
I think it's
don't see it.
pretty unlikely that Hassan Hüttl will be in a job.
He's going, isn't
after,
he?
After this game. I mean, I like Hassan Hüttl. I think he's done well at Southampton, broadly speaking, with all the rebuilds they've had and player sales and all that. But I think it's probably time that he goes, right. Like I don't see where else he can take them. And I think City, I've got 3-1, but I don't think anyone would be too surprised if this was a 7-0 to City, really.
7-0?
Well, you never know, do you? I mean, with Southampton, you never know with Southampton. I think that's
going to be clipped back when it's 7-0, isn't it? That me laughing.
Well, they could turn up Southampton. They did last year when people had written them off, and they got. Did they win? Did they? I think they won.
They've got a good record against City. Yeah.
Newcastle Brentford both gone for 2-1. Newcastle, I think that's fairly. Tony getting his old club. Yeah, something to prove. Maybe gets the goal, but I think Newcastle are too strong at the moment.
And I think they won there last year, didn't they? Brentford. I think they had they scored a few goals at St James's Park. Yeah.
Next one is interesting. So I've gone for a 1-1, Brighton Spurs. You've gone for a Brighton win, 2-1. My mum's gone for a 2-1 Brighton win. My dad has gone for
4-0,
3-1 Brighton. So I'm the only one out of all four of us to not give Brighton a win in this.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it's going to be a cracking game. This is good. It's on telly, and I'm expecting a lot from Brighton. Home crowd, first home game for the new manager. Spurs, no great shakes really. I mean, if Kane Son turn up, it could be a very different scoreline to what I predicted there. But I don't, you know what we're going to get from Spurs. I think you're going to get a late winner and win it. Yeah, so I've gone 2-1.
My worry is when we talk about systems again, is that Spurs are very good at inviting pressure and holding on and then countering quickly. And I think we're going to play into their hands in this one.
Right.
And I've given us a draw only because Spurs haven't really been too impressive in their last few matches. I mean, they were against Leicester obviously when they won that game convincingly, but they weren't impressive against Arsenal even before the red card. But I'm not optimistic about this one. I think Conte could do a bit of a job on us, but my dad's confident anyway. Palace Leeds, 2-0 Palace. I've gone for really unimpressive Leeds. Thought they were awful against Villa, as I said multiple times. You've gone for a 2-1. Sinistero not in the side though. I think Palace keep it clean in this. I'm relatively confident.
Yeah, could do. Yeah.
West Ham Fulham. Both gone for a West Ham win. I've gone for a 1-0. You've gone for a 2-0. Fulham don't score, do they? If Mitrovic isn't playing. I mean, they did get one in the end against Newcastle, but.
And I think he will miss this game. We'll wait for Neil to update us. Scamacca to Philly's boots.
Yep.
Scamacca.
Very nice. Yep.
There we go. Not Scamacca. Scamacca.
Scamacca.
Why do I even bother?
You swear?
I said, no, not really. I don't think I did. Is that swearing, is it? I'm sorry. Okay.
I thought you might have said the F word.
I want YouTube to come after me. No, I would never say that. Only on those
Only
live stream watch
today.
alongs. Only because I've sold a player that's just got 20 points.
Yeah, so, as if you do that. Arsenal Liverpool, the highest scoring game in Premier League history. I've gone for a 2-1 Arsenal. You've gone for a 3-2 Liverpool. I thought that was interesting.
I sat there and thought, well, there's going to be goals in this game. I don't trust the Arsenal defence. They've gone 10 home games without a clean sheet, so they're going to concede a goal. I just think, surely it's only a matter of time Liverpool click, but Liverpool will concede goals. So all I could go with was a high-scoring win for Liverpool in the end. That's what I arrived at. So could be that. We'll see. I hope it is, because that's going to be a cracker.
Yeah.
But yeah, 4:30 kickoff. Don't get down the garden centre for that one, is my advice.
But do get down the garden centre for the next two games, which is Everton United. I've gone for a slim 1-0 United win. You've gone for you've gone for a couple of goals in this one, actually. 2-1 United. But then I'm sorry, the Monday night game does not fill me with any great joy.
0-0.
And I've just gone for a 0-0. Yeah, just boring. I think.
No.
You've gone for the opposite. You've gone for a 2-1 Forest thriller.
Yeah, I can't go to this game because I'd have to stay over and I can't get the time off work. So my cousin's got my ticket. Is that allowed? I think it's allowed. Maybe I'm not allowed to transfer the ticket, but he's got my ticket.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, okay, good. So he's going. I think this will be an atmosphere and a half, right? We don't want Cooper gone. Right, so the crowd are good. I mean, like, I'm tearing up thinking about it because, yeah, we ain't gonna want Cooper gone. So we are going to be doing everything we can to cheer the team and get behind the team.
Players don't know who he bloody is. Players have never heard of him before they joined.
No, I know, but
that's
the crowd are going to
Aurier's
be a factor.
Crying in the dressing room.
He had a good game. I thought we had a good game. Aurier. People said to me, "Is there any chance Williams could get dropped for Aurier?" I was like, "No, can't see it." And I'm like, maybe he could actually, because Williams struggled. I just think the crowd are going to be a factor here. I think we're going to win it. I think we will. We'll score first. They'll peg us back. They'll look like winning it, and then we'll nick it at the end. Is my scenario. If we lose, I do fear Cooper's gone.
Yeah,
and I don't even want to think about that. I would be, if Cooper goes and I'm on the show next week, I don't know what kind of mood I'll be in. I'll be pretty upset.
I think it's got to be, of all the teams I think you could have this week, I think Villa is the best. This is the best fixture you could have. Because Villa have been so poor for the last two games that you've got to feel confident about any team playing them. Though would feel comfortable, confident. And if you lose this, then it's that's it, isn't it?
And they'll try and come and frustrate us like they've done the last two games to their opponents. But I think that the atmosphere there will carry us through. I hope that's the case. And Brennan looked good against Leicester. He had a couple of good runs, and I think what I saw there was like, at last, Brennan's stepping up. At last, Brennan's hopefully going to be the player that we think he should be, getting more involved and actually running at opponents and opening up the opponent. He did it twice against Leicester. I think Brennan's going to be the key in this game, and I think that he's going to at least get one and we're going to win it, is my tip. I hope to God, because I do not want Steve to go, but, we'll see.
Well, if he does go, Bruno Lager is available.
Bruno Lager. It probably will be Bruno Lager, not Bruno Large, probably. That's probably whoever Bruno Lager is, but yeah.
Do you want to bother with captains, matrix and data?
I don't.
Is there any point?
I think we'll look at the matrix, but I mean, I do not think it's worth debating too much the captaincy this week, unless you think Haaland won't start. But I think he got subbed tonight, didn't he? Can you have a look what time he got?
He went off at half time.
Oh God, but he starts then, doesn't he?
Yeah. Unless there's an injury, but
I mean, like, the only reason why the matrix is important is because I've got it right this week. So
true.
I've managed to take City and Arsenal out of the game week 12 lineup. And then, it's Salah West Ham at home in game week 12. But arguably, if you got Maddison, you could look at him at home to Leeds. You could look at Mitrovic at home to Villa. If you haven't got Salah, you could go Trent maybe. You could also go Trossard against Forest, couldn't you? If Trossard looks to have any kind of consistency. So there are options in game week 12, but if you've got Salah in the wild card and you suffered this week because you captained him, at least you can look ahead to game week 12 and think, well, you haven't got to do surgery to get him in for that game week, and you probably have got the most popular captain. In terms of EO, he'll be the top captain, right? So if you play the game, fearing EO, which I don't, but I know many people do, you can be happy about the fact you've got Salah game week 12.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go Trossard captain, I think, in 12.
Will you?
Yeah, go to the Amex and watch it and see my player against yours scoring. So many elements of sweetness in that. City won 5-0 tonight, by the way, against FC Copenhagen. I mean, not huge surprises. Big, diversity in class and where they are, but still another big win. One player we haven't mentioned just quickly was Chelsea won 3-0 tonight. Aubameyang scored again. Could he be an option?
What's his price? You know what? I don't even know what his price is. I believe he's
9. I believe he's 9 million. He is 9 million. Yeah.
It's too much, isn't it? Too
It's a
much.
lot. Yeah. I wish they'd made him Jesus' price at 8.
Yeah, but they were never going to do that, would they? So yeah, it'd be interesting if he continues it and Chelsea give us some confidence attacking wise, because I haven't trusted the Chelsea attack for a long time. Even under Tuchel, we didn't really ever fully invest in it, did we? We didn't really have the options with Mount and Werner and Havertz. None of them really convinced for any prolonged period. Aubameyang could do that. And I love saying Aubameyang, so why not? I normally get his name wrong. Yeah,
well,
I've got good at
when we first started these.
Yeah. I spent the summer practicing it, and now I've got it off pat. The trouble is, scamac. Oh, you see, that's my new one.
Bomberang, I think was your.
Oh, I don't want to go there. Yeah, but yeah, I think we keep an eye, but don't see it myself.
No,
we'll see.
A bit too much money. Captain's data, I'll just show it quickly. You probably want to captain Haaland if you've got him, which I assume you do. If you do want to go for someone a bit different though,
who would you do then?
Well, looking at the team data, Bournemouth are bottom of the teams that we're looking at in terms of expected goal, non-penalty conceded. So I mean, you could go for Maddison again in that. He's probably the only one that I'd consider, but I wouldn't consider him because I'd captain Haaland. So. Want to add anything to that?
Yeah. So what do you think I'm right in that? It is quite dull that the captain's decision is largely taken from us now for the rest of the season. There'll be game weeks where there's double fit, but even in a double game week, right? If City had a good fixture and Kane had a double game week, you'd still be worried that you've made a wrong call by going Kane with 2 matches, wouldn't you? And that's seems ridiculous, but you would, because Kane hasn't been too convincing in terms of his output, and Haaland has just been devastating. So even if Kane had 2 fixtures, you'd be worried. You wouldn't be absolutely convinced that you've done the right thing, which is absolutely crazy. So do you think it's made the season duller? I mean, or do you think that I'm making too much of it and there's still plenty to play for?
I think you're making a little bit too much of it. I mean, we've had players in the past who have done this. I mean, I'm not saying it was always like Salah at the beginning of last season. Like everyone was captaining every week, anyway. And okay, I mean, the difference there was you could have gone against him and you could have found players that were that were doing better. But at the same time, we weren't doing it. We were all just going for Salah. We've had Aguero's, Van Persie's, Rooney's in the past where this decision's been taken out of our hands a lot of the time. And I just think it's one of those things. I mean, the captaincy isn't my favourite thing because of this kind of decision.
Yeah.
It's, in some ways, I quite like the fact that I don't really have to worry about it, and I can make it up with other players, because I get the captaincy wrong when I try and give it to players with a good fixture and they don't perform.
I think how I've got to look at it. Is it means that we don't need to have that second heavy hitter. We can actually go without that. That gives us more money. And then if there are these mid-price options or big at the back comes good again, then actually it could actually have the opposite effect and make the season more interesting. Yeah. Because suddenly we'll have more money to spend elsewhere and options elsewhere. So if that turns out to be the case, I'll be very happy indeed, and it might well do.
I think the main difference is that we've never had a player where we thought maybe this form could stop, we wanted to have 2 heavy hitters because we think, well, if Salah has got a bad fixture, maybe we could go for someone else. But realistically, we're not even gonna do that. And obviously, we've never had a player. I don't think we've never had a team like this City team right now. We've never had a team just so dominant at the top of the league. We are the Farmers League now, because no one is anywhere near City's level.
Not
this
at the
season.
moment. Arsenal, I guess we've got to think will regress, right? Won't be able to maintain this. I'd like to think they could, and it'd be a great story for Arteta to run Pep close. Yeah, really would. And obviously, I'm an Arsenal sympathist. After Forest, Arsenal were my team, so I think I'd love to see it, but I just can't see them maintaining it. And therefore, unless Liverpool transform, which they probably will to some extent, but I don't think enough where they can find that gap. Now it's 11 points. It's a lot, isn't it? And I think it's going to get wider before it gets narrower.
No, I mean, City would need to drop some points now, and Arsenal would need to just carry on winning every game, because when it gets to the back end of the season, and in those last 8 games, you just know City are going to steamroll everyone, and that's when Arsenal might be in the latest stage of Europe and be struggling with things, and then they haven't got any chance. So they just got to keep the momentum up.
The only thing is squad depth. City don't have as much as they've used to in the
No, that's
past.
true.
And so injuries could catch up with them, and you never know. We saw Liverpool the season before last with awful luck with injuries, and City could yet be cursed with that. But if it happens now, they buy in January anyway. So I don't think that could happen and derail it, but we'll have to see.
No squad depth except for at centre back when they've got 5 now.
Well, that's the one position they have got choice. Yeah.
Akanji's good as well. Looks a really good signing. Right, let's take a look at our teams then. Let's take a look at mine first. So I'm currently playing Ward over Henderson. But again, I don't really know which one to play. I'm just going for Ward because Bournemouth are poor. But
you're going to play Ward?
Well, your set piece thing has kind of made me think I shouldn't. But Leicester are a better team than Forest, and Bournemouth are a worse team. Would you?
Yeah.
But you said that last week, and that cost me 7 points.
I mean, don't take my advice.
And you're a Forest fan. You're very
and obviously,
biased.
I'm biased, right? But who takes pens for Villa? Watkins, right?
That's true.
He's dodgy from the spot. Watkins and Henderson. He's what's he say? 10 of 19 or something. I think he said.
I thought you'd got a penalty at one point. Something happened in the box. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was a foul or something. And I think they checked it quickly on VAR. And he's the kind of goalkeeper. It's like, if they've got a penalty, he's going to be. Well, he's going to save
that's it. Honestly, now when we concede a penalty, I honestly do think there's a 50% chance he can save it because the data says that's what it is. Of his last 19 pens, he saved 50% of them. And Watkins I think he does take pens for Villa, right? Have they got another taker? Watkins is notoriously flaky from the spot.
Ings if he's on the pitch.
Ings if he's on the pitch, yeah.
I mean, they could play Ings against you, couldn't they, and try and actually score some goals.
Yeah, I'd rather have Watkins against us than Ings. I'd be worried about Ings.
Yeah, so yeah. I don't know, it's going to come down to the wire.
I'd go Henderson, but
yeah. Well, then I've got Trent, James, Diaz, who's a problem, and Trippier, Foden, Maddison, Martinelli, Haaland, Kane, and Mitrovic, and then I've got Pascal Gross. I'm on the bench. So if Mitrovic is fit, I could just play Gross over Diaz and, kind of get away with it. Or I could use this as a bit of a... I mean, I'm going to have to get rid of Diaz in a couple of weeks anyway. I don't want to play him against Liverpool. So what I am thinking of is doing Diaz down to a Crystal Palace defender and then Gross up to Trossard. That'd be for a hit. But then...
For a hit?
Yeah, that'd be for a hit. But that gets me Trossard in. His price is going up. He's... it's just nice to own a fun player from your own side, isn't it, as well?
Also, it means you've got rid of one of your players that you're carrying into 12, right? So you're down to 3 then.
Yeah, so got rid of, and Trossard is a better option than Gross. He's going to be a better option than Gross under De Zerbi. I don't think Gross, as I said, is a terrible option, but I think Trossard is the diamond. So
you think so? One game and you've made up your mind on that? I mean,
I think he already
was.
I think he was anyway. Even when he was under Potter and at wing back, I watched that Leicester game and he was the best player. I did a thread about it and I said, if I was buying one now, I'd pick Trossard because it looks like things are kind of turning for him. And I think Gross got off to a great start and I think he will tick over quite well. But I still wonder a bit if De Zerbi's system changes, whether, he was the first man subbed, for example. It's 60 minutes when we were 3-2 down at the time. And, if he does go with 2 central midfielders, maybe plays McAllister in the 10, for example. Like, Gross hasn't really got that versatility. He did play at right wing back for a bit and stuff, but not really very effectively. Whereas Trossard will start. So I think.
So could you not afford Zaha?
I could afford Zaha, yeah. Or I instead of Trossard, I get Zaha. Yeah. So it's basically just a straight up. No, but I want Trossard.
Do Zaha? Okay, all right.
Yeah, I could do Diaz and Gross to Zaha and.
The chat says Zaha.
Yeah. Well, it's head and heart, isn't it? I mean, Zaha probably is the better option.
Yeah, no. You don't have to tell me about that.
He's on pens with better fixtures, but I would...
I mean, Trossard's sexy, there's no doubt, yeah.
I would captain Trossard against Forest as well, which...
would you?
Which would be fun, as I'm going to the Amex. So again, another hard decision. But yeah, I don't know. We will see. Your team, you've got Raya in goal with Trent, Trippier and James... Zaha, De Bruyne, Bowen, Martinelli, Mitrovic, Haaland and Tony. How the hell are you 5.5 million in the world?
I know, it's a good team, isn't it?
It's such a good team.
Yeah, I've got Perisic coming off if Mitrovic doesn't make it. Perisic should start at Brighton, I think, either right or left. So I don't mind that. I don't see a clean sheet for Spurs, but Perisic, like you said, on the break, I mean, he got into good positions against Arsenal when he could again against Brighton. So I'm okay with rolling, and I probably will roll because I don't need to make a transfer, I don't think, with Perisic coming off the bench for Mitrovic. And then I take 2 into 11 with the idea that De Bruyne goes to Son, and then, I see what I can do with the money. That's not too much money, is it? So I'm not sure what I could do. But I want 2 to go into game week 12, obviously. So I think I roll this week and I captain that fella up front, Haaland, rather than go
until Saturday morning.
You know what's going to happen?
Bowen captain.
No, but you know what's going to happen. De Bruyne is going to outscore Haaland, isn't he? And then, it's like, oh. But I'll go Haaland. I've had enough now, really. I've been beaten down by the witch hunt. I just can't be seen now to be making decisions that are pushing. I'm happy that I made those decisions because it was motivated by me trying to just push a bit harder than I need to. Perhaps it is early in the season, I get it, right? But the people criticising me for it weren't 5.5 million in the world, so you can't. Everyone's different, right? And it had an effect on me to change my decision making enough where I obviously made some mistakes. Hands up, as I said earlier in the show, and I'm not going to do that anymore. It's going to be more of a straight bat. It's going to be duller on here because of that, because I'm going to be captaining Haaland every week, and I'm probably going to be making sensible transfers. But let's see if that enables me to change some green arrows and move up. I think it'll be slow progress, but there you go.
You've just got enough players here, like with Zaha, Bowen, and James. Like you've got 3 great players who, the kind of the combined ownership of those 3 players probably isn't that, especially your rank.
No,
probably isn't that high.
Thanks. Yeah.
So they if they all start delivering and you've got the captaincy sorted, you'll rise up the ranks really quickly. It's just about picking players that you think are going to score the most points. That's always the way to play, no matter what your rank is. That's my.
And I look at it as well and think, if I take 2 transfers into 11, I've got Perisic and probably De Bruyne will go for Son. So I'll be taking Son and Perisic into Everton at home, and not many teams will have that, right? So, yeah, I'm happy with where it's at. If my team looked bad and I was 5.5 million in the world, I would be like, I've got tummy ache as I can't make BlackBox this week. But but my team looks good, so I'm fine, and that's why I'm here and I'm happy.
There isn't a single player in your team that I think is a bad pick. So. I can't. I mean,
Trent.
Yeah,
Trent, you could argue, but I love him. No way I'm selling Trent.
No,
my favourite player, Trent. So not getting rid.
Your favourite player?
Yeah, he's my favourite player.
Is he?
Yeah.
Even over Jesse.
Yeah, definitely at the moment. Yeah.
You still need to buy your Jesse Lingard top. I don't think I've forgotten about that. If he signs for Forest, I will buy Jesse Lingard top and wear it to Fest.
And wear it on BlackBox. I'm waiting for his business to go under. I'm presuming that he can't be selling many of those baseball caps and shirts, but it's still up there, I think, the website. I'm gonna have to hire some kind of hacker to bring it down for me.
Yeah.
I can't buy any. Sorry, the site's
I sent
down.
you that hoodie that was on clearance. You didn't even buy that. It was very disappointing.
Yeah, funny that. The pink one. Yeah. Why didn't I buy that pink one? Yeah.
You look lovely.
It was horrible.
It was.
Yeah, maybe. Nothing wrong with pink, but it was horrible.
It was yeah. I mean, a lot of his merch, let's be honest, isn't the best. Right. Black Box Leagues. Daginj Stenhaug, Norwegian, I would sense, is top with 611 points, 125 points. What a week. He had Tom Ford in second with 107. In Arteta we trust, David Hurley, a red arrow in the league with 100 points. pretty brutal. Offmane Rezgui, so I can't say any of these names, so apologies.
In a week where Az was creating language, he's now having to pronounce these names.
Offmane.
Go ahead, Az, carry on. I'm not taking over.
Offmane, I think that's probably right. 125.
Yeah.
And then look at that, Rasmus 117, Stuart Brandt 119. Big scores throughout the league. Bryce, Svenung, Simon, and Martin Eriksson rounding out the top 9. For some, I don't know why I got the top 9.
Well, there's 10 managers there. It's just 2 are sharing 9th. Have you not?
Oh yeah,
so there are 10.
That's right.
Yeah, we go. Yeah.
I thought it was my screens again. Final plug for the FCAs.
Come on, vote for us.
The voting ends on Sunday. So this is your last chance to vote for us. There's 2 links in the description. if you like BlackBox. One will take you to the site where you can vote for us. You can also vote for Fantasy Football Scouted editorial as well. So if you want to support Neil and Tom and Mark and all the other guys over there, we'd really appreciate that as well. And obviously you can vote for us. Or you can just click the other link that I set up, and that will go to directly to your Twitter. It will say, I'm voting for FPL BlackBox in the FCAs. You tweet that out, and that counts as a vote for us as well. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you're enjoying the content that we kind of do. There's a picture of us looking really happy with our award last season. And yeah, we'd really appreciate all the votes and stuff as we try and look to win it back to back.
I was going to say something like, if you vote for us and we win, I'll put a J Lings baseball cap on to go up and collect the award. Yeah, I can't say that.
Well, you've
I
said
won't do it, will I?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I'll buy it for you.
And then I got to wear it as I go up for the.
If we win the FCAs, I will buy Mark a Jesse Lingard baseball cap, and he'll wear it as we collect it. There you go. Done.
Do you remember when we went up and got that award, and we went up and I think you didn't have anything to say, and I went, "Do you want to?" And you were like, "No, you carry on."
I was like, yeah.
No, it was a great night, and I'm looking forward to going anyway, just to rub shoulders with some of the community again, because there's some great names from the community nominated, and also there's like people from over football, as I said before. It's a really good night. It's in Manchester. Not sure I've got the brownie points to go yet. I've got to look into that, so I've got to try and earn those before the show, the awards come round. But looking forward to it, and yeah, vote for us. You know what? I am struggling for rank. I'm not having a good season. I'm miserable because of Forest, but I've really enjoyed tonight, and I actually think this has been a really good show.
Yeah,
I think that I've really enjoyed it, and I'm still feel really positive about the season and positive about FPL. So thanks, As. You cheered me up, as everyone in the chat.
Well,
so thanks a lot.
You're more than welcome. And then I think myself and everyone in the chat has no doubt you'll turn it around soon, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. We'll both finish in the top million. That's about as high as we can hope for. That's it. Thank you everyone in the chat. Do give us a like as well. Do make sure you
smash the likes.
Smash the likes. Do make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. And we will be back next week ahead of game
Absolutely.
Week 11.
Looking forward to it. Green arrow this time. Come on. Turn it round.
But you can't get another red arrow at 5.5 million, can you? There should be some sort of trophy for that.
Oh, please no. It's a good night for me.
Good night, everyone.